The guy who bears the title of Heavenly Demon Cult's heir is immersed in heavy thoughts about his guilt. He firmly believes that the recent energy abnormality is not something that can be easily fixed. The man blames himself for being a useless student. The reason for this is a destroyed lower nucleus, the defect with which he was born. Nevertheless, this guy has given his entire life to the study of the mystic arts. He has achieved the title of cult heir, seeking to repay his mentor for everything. However, his hopes for a rare cure from Hubei are dashed. It turns out to be useless. In desperation, he searches for any way to help his mentor. Cheon Hajin, the deputy cultist, entered the room. His gaze was stern as he looked at the heir. It had been a long time since their last meeting, and there was reproach in his voice. He felt that the heir was inactive when the cult needed him. The white-haired boy parried that Cheon himself had been away for a long time, wandering the cult's domain. The deputy reminded him that neither the head nor the heir was doing well. The man recognized that it was his duty to help the heavenly demon cult flourish. The heir quietly thanked him for his efforts. He began to suspect that Cheon Hajin's journey was not just a desire to learn about people's lives. This guy feared that rash actions might be waiting for him. The heir hadn't even imagined that Cheon would dare to kill him in his own chambers. The man was going over in his mind everything that had led up to this moment. The boy wondered what had prompted Cheon Hajin to take such a step. The taste of the drink, which had seemed strange, now clearly indicated poison. He realized that his life was in danger. The heir decided to act quickly to save himself and possibly the cult. Out of the darkness, hooded men came at him, trying to attack at the same time. The man warned them that if they decided to kill him in his own shelter, they had not prepared well. The heir added that they had attacked him for nothing. He had already warned them about it. The white-haired man fights them back, saying that the attacker's strength is not enough. Guy bitterly noted that Cheon Hajin and his allies had underestimated him. Their training was insufficient. Cheon Hajin and the elders were confused. They didn't understand why the heir was so strong after being poisoned. He regretted that his body wasn't in the best condition. The man felt that he could have easily handled Cheon Hajin otherwise. Cheon expressed his disappointment in the heir, saying that he was unable to fulfill his dreams. He also mentioned that all the elders supported him. The heir asked ironically if Cheon Hajin and his allies were really going to attack him en masse after the poisoning. Cheon Hajin replied that if the heir had just played his role, nothing would have happened. He blamed the heir for the situation. The boy was perplexed as to what Cheon Hajin was talking about. The bearded man claimed that it was a joint decision of the elders and the deputy cult leader. The heir accused Cheon Hajin and the elders of betrayal. He believed that they had sold out the cult for their own ends. Cheon attacked the guy with white hair in a rage. The heir realized he was right. Cheon Hajin noticed their shared past and training with the same master. He recalled that the heir was still the current leader of the heavenly demon cult. The guy sarcastically said that Cheon had already planned to kill him, but continues this farce. The heir accused Cheon Hajin of being a puppet of outside forces because of his shallow mind. He thought that Cheon was incapable of understanding how he was being used. Cheon Hajin shouted in rage that the heir was unwilling to die peacefully. He was ready to continue the fight. The man ironically said that Cheon Hajin had put up with him for so long but still couldn't understand his true intentions. He hinted that Cheon had always been slow and short-sighted. The guy drew his sword and said disdainfully that he wouldn't let Cheon pull his tricks. Cheon Hajin was shocked that the heir was able to gather so much mystical energy. He couldn't believe what was happening. The heir revealed that he had put all the mystical power into the sword, the power that contains the will of the first heavenly demon. He gathered this energy while defending himself from the attacks of Cheon and the elders. The man reached the limit of his power. He said it was too late to escape, and activated the soul-burning hellfire, blasting everything around him. A blonde-haired guy appeared covered in blood. He was contemplating his demise and the snow. The heir recalled the past, saying things are just like the day he first encountered violence and pain. The boy was beaten by teenagers at a young age. One of them angrily said that he would spare the boy, but only if he stopped talking about an evil spirit. The attacker mocked the heir, saying that he had a destroyed core and that he was just an orphan seeing ghosts. He added that if he were the heir, he would have killed himself long ago. The guy pondered how to survive in this disgusting world where they try to destroy him for the truth. The heir saw the demon spirits and asked them when they would finally leave him alone. Suddenly, someone crept up on him and told him that the heir had special eyes. He was a man with expensive clothes and an even more expensive sword. The boy had already prepared for the worst, but the man began to convince him that his eyes were not a curse, but a true blessing. He called them a gift and he called the boy special. The heir remembered the first time he felt warmth in his life. He decided to follow this man and the master gave him the name Wonbi. The boy realized he had found a reason to keep living. He did everything he could to help his master, but his body couldn't take it. The man pondered the fact that his body would soon turn to ashes. He realized that he had to find another way to survive. The heir decided to use the forbidden art of Zoroastrianism to be reborn into a new body. He realized that it was a risky step, but he had no other choice. Manhwa activated the forbidden art, channeling the remnants of mystic energy into the demon dragon sword. He realized that this was his last chance. The boy woke up in his new body feeling weak and sore. He realized that the rebirth was successful, but his new body was far from ideal. Wonbi heard a voice calling his name. He realized that the new body bore the same name as him, which struck him as ironic. He stopped the woman who was beating him and reasoned that the memory of the person he had become possessed by had information that the woman was his stepmother. The heir noticed that his new body had a lower energy core. He realized that this was his chance to develop new abilities and regain the ability of his eyes to control the dead. Manhwa vowed that he would protect his master and show everyone who betrayed him who they had messed with. He was willing to do anything for revenge. The Sichuan Tang clan, one of the 6 great clans of Murim, is a powerful force in the region. They are also the overlords of the Sichuan Murim. To the west of the Tang clan is the front line of the Murim Central Plains, which opposes the heavenly demon cult. The vanguard of the Tang clan's troops is led by the Tempest Squad. The vanguard is the part of the troops ahead of the main force. Tang Hosen, one of the key leaders of the Tang clan, along with the Storm Squad, bases their forces on strategic principles. The economic and strategic center of the Tang clan is located in Nine Dragons County. The head of the Tang clan, Dark Lord Tang Munhok, entrusted the army to Tang Hosen. Tang Hosen had 3 heirs. The mother of 2 of them was Nampun Sanyong, his lawful wife. Tang Hosen's first child was Tang Kyujin, and his 3rd child was Tang Yuchang. However, the 2nd son was born to a servant girl, a mistake made in a drunken frenzy. The heir was reborn as an illegitimate child of this clan. The rest of the clan treats Tan Wonwi with contempt because of his illegitimate background. They consider him unworthy of inheritance. Nampun Sanyong, Tan Hosen's lawful wife, ordered that Tan Wonwi should not be allowed to inherit. This decision caused everyone in the clan to starve. Tana Wonwi begs to ask for forgiveness, hoping that the mistress will relent and the punishment will be less severe. The servant shouts in rage that he was giving well-meaning advice, but he is not listened to. Tan Wonwi warns that if he is touched again, the offending party will be in big trouble. Tan Wonwi turns to Hyomsai, his mother's friend, hoping that he will do the right thing. He recalls his mother's kindness. Hyomsai promises to serve Tang Wonwi and the second lady diligently. He prepares everything necessary to carry out the order. Tan Wonwi realizes that his position in the clan is extremely precarious. He decides to fight for his place despite all the obstacles. Tan Wonwi can hardly believe that his hand is shaking because of the beatings. He realizes how weak his new body is. The heir realizes that not only does he have a weak body, but he also has no allies in the clan. This is partly due to the mistress's bullying. The guy decides to accumulate internal energy and show his abilities. However, the problem is that the Tang clan's energy in this body can't be used because of the demonic legacy. Tan Wonwi realizes that his body is not prepared to use the upper meridian. He remembers how to transfer energy into illusory space. Guy decides to use the thousands of years old secret archive of the heavenly demon cult as a suitable cultivation space. The heir decides to use the poison dragon technique as it suits his current situation. This technique was developed by warriors who were expelled from the Tang clan and joined the heavenly demon cult. The poison dragon technique allows you to learn the poison arts of a demonic cult, using poison energy instead of demonic energy. Guy notices that groups in the Tang clan are popping up that use poison in a special way, making the poison dragon technique even more suitable for his purposes. Tang Wonwi realizes that using demonic arts through the poison dragon method will allow him to go undetected. However, in order to do so, he will have to experience excruciating pain and absorb a high-level poison. The heir has finally unlocked his dead eyes using the upper meridian. This opens up new possibilities for him. The guy jokes that even though he was attractive in a past life, he still feels uncomfortable if people stare at him too closely. Tan Wonwi is confronted by Deputy Cheon and the elders. They call him a madman and demand his release. Guy responds to their threats with sarcasm, saying that their reaction pleases him. He reminds them that they conspired to kill him and now must be prepared to face the consequences. The heir encounters the Ghost King, who wonders if he's really capable of what he's up to. The Ghost King warns Tan Wonwi that if he stays in this state, he won't even be able to reincarnate. The boy angrily rejects his words. Tan Wanhui declares that he has enough people with the necessary information. He does not need the help of the Ghost King. The heir uses a tidied orb that is filled with the wrongs of the dead and is more powerful than most poisons. He decides to make it his weapon. Guy eats the orb despite the excruciating pain. He is able to stand even after taking the poison energy, much to the amazement of those around him. Tan Wanhui declares that the vice head of the cult has become fertilizer for his poison dragon. He demands that everyone make a choice. Tell him everything or be eaten. The heir learns that the heavenly demon cult is an unorthodox organization that worships its ruler as a god. The cult elders admit that their actions were motivated by fear of an organization that rules even unorthodox factions. Guy encounters a group of renegades who call themselves the Tower. They seek to surpass humanity and conquer the heavens. The renegades are described as demigods capable of mind-boggling things. Their leader is even more powerful than imagined. Tan Wanhui continues his training, gradually getting used to the poison. He realizes that it is a long process, but he is willing to go all the way. 2 months have passed. The lady of the Tang clan expresses her displeasure that Tang Wanhui has not repented or asked for forgiveness. She feels that he should have fallen at her feet. The lady is worried about how she will look into the eyes of the clan head when he returns. She doesn't know how to explain the situation with her boyfriend. A woman of the Tang clan notices that a man has become interested in the situation in Jianghu, especially the unorthodox and demonic factions. This makes her suspicious. The lady suggests that someone more powerful may be behind the heir. She believes he could not have survived without help. Namgung discusses with his son that the boy might try to impress the patriarch to get a position in the clan. The woman orders her servants to keep an eye on the man and report to her any oddities in his behavior. The lady expresses her displeasure that the heir has not repented and does not ask for forgiveness. She believes that he should have fallen at her feet. Ms. discusses with her son that the boy may be getting help from someone inside the clan. She thinks it could be dangerous. The lady and her son decide that if the man tries to cause trouble, they can easily stop him. They are sure that his strength is not enough. The Tang clan woman believes that even if the heir tries to do something, his strength is not enough. He has only studied the basic arts of the Tang clan's energy. Namgung doubts that the guy can reach a high level of strength. She thinks his capabilities are limited. The heir learns that the demonic cult has been in a civil war for 6 years. This causes him concern. Tan Wanhui reflected that a long time had passed since his rebirth through the primordial divine wheel. However, the situation was worse than he had expected. Guy learns that the sky demon is missing. This causes chaos in the demonic cult as no one knows when he will return. The heir hopes that the master is still alive. He realizes that there is a small hope of saving him. Tang Wanhui wants to immediately go in search of the master, but he doesn't have the strength, information, or means to do so. The guy realizes that the traitors are using every possible method to find the master. This makes his search even more difficult. The heir decides to use the available information and continue his search. He remembers about the eyes that can help him in this. Tang Wanhui learns that the Dark Lord is creating a special security unit. He decides to join it to use their network to find the master. Guy realizes that his chances of finding a master will increase if he joins this unit. He also notices that he is on the verge of mastering the 12 strikes of the Furious Tiger. The heir learns advanced combat techniques taught by a traveling warrior. This martial art uses fists, palms, fingers, and feet as deadly weapons. Tan Wanhui realizes that if one strengthens the body through extreme training, one can achieve incredible results. He decides to use the poison dragon cultivation technique, taking a spiritual elixir and purifying the blood and channels. The guy faces difficulties in his training. He realizes that without the help of a master, it will be difficult for him to reach the desired level. However, he does not give up and continues to work on himself. The heir learns that the Dark Lord will be returning soon. This causes him concern as he realizes that his enemies may try to get rid of him during the Dark Lord's visit. Tan Wanhui learns that his enemies are discussing him and planning to get rid of him. He realizes that they believe he has a secret patron behind him. The guy realizes that his enemies want to humiliate him, but he has no intention of giving up. He decides to use their plans to his advantage. The heir notices that his enemies want to recommend him to the security division. This gives him mixed feelings as he realizes it could be a trap. Tan Wanhui is contemplating getting into the security division. He realizes that this could be his chance, but also realizes that his enemies could use it against him. A guy receives a tonic from a lady who had previously forbidden him to eat or drink. He realizes that it might be part of her plan, but still decides to accept the gift. The heir leaves the tonic, realizing that the lady wants to see him drink it. He decides to be careful and not fall for her tricks. Tang Wenhui realizes that the lady has put madness poison in his food. However, thanks to the poison dragon cultivation technique, the poison will not affect him. Tang Wenhui notes that poison recordings can restore energy and even enhance it. However, large amounts of poison can poison the brain with toxins. The guy discovers that the lady slipped him poison. He is furious because how dare she slip such a thing to the master. The heir orders his men to follow the lady and find the sorcerer who is helping her. Tang Wenhui realizes that the lady wants to drive him crazy with poison and then use magic to turn him into a puppet. A guy meets a martial arts master assigned to train him. The martial artist, Tang Gong, introduces himself as one of the 5 strongest masters in the 9 Dragon Division. The heir notices that Tang Gong is so lazy that he stopped performing his duties long ago. He wonders why he became his master. Tang Wenhui learns that Tang Gong only agreed to train him because he was too lazy to help with the preparations for the festivities. The guy realizes that the lady made it seem like she cared for him, but actually wants to hijack his mind to humiliate him in front of the head of the clan. Tang Wenhui asks Tang Gong what he will teach him. Tang Gong replies that he was asked to train Wenhui for only 4 days before the clan leader's visit. Tang Gong begins his training with the shadow movement technique. He explains that this is the foundation of the martial arts used by the young master Cosmin. The teacher demonstrates the shadow step, leaving clean footprints on the ground. He invites Tanu Wenbi to follow them to understand the technique. Tang Gong states that the shadow step is ideal for use with ladies or concealed weapons. He compares his son to a guy to emphasize his skill. The master shows how to perform the shadow step and invites the man to repeat it. He is sure that the heir has learned everything. The guy claims to have learned the shadow step. However, Tang Gong doubts it as the man has never studied martial arts before. Tang Gong explains that the shadow step is quite difficult. Even brilliant students like himself take 5 days to master it. Tang Wenhui jokes that Tang Gong calls himself a genius. Tang Gong confirms that it takes 3 months to fully understand the shadow step. Wenhui insists that he has learned the shadow step. Tang Gong doubts it, saying it's not something you can just see and repeat. The guy offers a bet, 30 silver coins on him mastering the shadow step correctly. Tang Gong is surprised at this bet. Tang Gong remarks that a bet of 30 coins is almost 3 months of a man's salary. He believes that shadow stepping is a priceless martial art and it is unwise to bet on it. Tang Wenhui jokes that the furious wind warrior himself said that it took him 5 days to master the shadow step. He decides to continue training on his own. Tang Gong stops the guy, saying he knows how to hurt his ego. He agrees to the bet but warns that he'll take the money as payment for disrespecting the martial arts. The heir asks if Tang Gong has agreed to the bet. He says yes, but on the condition that the money will pay for his disrespect. The guy notices that Tang Gong was going to have a drink tonight. He jokes that maybe he shouldn't be in such a hurry. Tang Wenhui notices with irony that his coins have also been seized. He realizes that the dispute could turn against him. Tang Gong, watching the man, is amazed at his ability to master the shadow step so quickly. He wonders how it's possible since he's never studied martial arts before. Despite his surprise, the master decides that he cannot allow his student to surpass him. He declares that the heir is too brilliant for such simple tricks, and hints that he has more complicated techniques. The master suggests that the man try his hand at more advanced techniques to see how far he can go. He is confident that his experience and skill will allow him to save face. Guy reflects on the fact that although he never personally studied martial arts, his life as a cult heir allowed him to observe many masters. This has given him the opportunity to memorize many basic techniques. He says that he has met many masters and memorized their techniques. This explains how he was able to steal the purse from Tang Gong despite the difference in strength. Tang Wenhui realizes that his success may be due not only to his talent, but also to the help of spirits. He decides to use this connection to continue his training and empty Tang Gong's wallet. He decides that in 4 hours he will show Tang Gong what he can do. The heir intends to use all the techniques available to him to prove his skill. He decides to use techniques such as the soul-chasing butterfly and the 12 spins of the storm to surprise Tang Gong and prove that he is worthy of being his disciple. Tang Gong, though hesitant, recognizes that the boy has the right to learn the storm dance. He remembers how he taught the other heirs of the family and decides that he should not refuse the heir. The heir knows that this is his chance to prove his power and become a worthy heir to the cult. He is ready to use all his abilities and the help of the spirits to achieve his goal. Tang Gong explains that the storm dance is not just a technique, but a show of respect for the unit that is the backbone of the 9 Dragon Division. He warns that the path will be difficult. Guy agrees with Tang Gong and is ready to prove that he is worthy of learning the dance of the storm. He knows it won't be easy, but his determination and belief in himself won't let him back down. Tan Wanhui asks Tan Gong if he recognizes his abilities. He reminds him that he is the son of the head of the family and has the right to continue the Storm Squad's mission. Seeing that the man is serious, decides to start training. He realizes that maybe the guy can surprise him, as he already did with the Shadow Step. Tang Gong, seeing the heir's determination, begins to doubt his initial judgment. He realizes that he may have underestimated the man and decides to give him a chance. The boy remembers how the Storm Squad came to ruin after the defeat. He reflects on the fact that now they have a chance to become a real storm again. After that terrible defeat, the Storm Squad has lost its former glory. Tang Wanhui feels that this defeat has left a deep mark in his heart. Despite the decline, the man believes that the squad can be reborn again. He feels it is within their power to become a formidable force again. The boy recalls how 20 years ago he buried the dream of the storm in his heart. He did not expect to hear those words from Master Verkia. Tan Wanhui feels his heart awakened again. However, he doubts the sincerity of Tang Gong, who offered the storm dance on a bet. The heir recalls the first time he met Tang Gong 4 hours ago. He wonders if Tang Gong would have agreed to teach him the storm dance if he had asked. Guy notices that Tang Gong may have been hiding his true abilities. He has heard rumors that Tang Gong has changed, but now he sees it with his own eyes. Tang Wanhui realizes that Tang Gong has been hiding his power for a long time. He decides that now is the time to show his hidden powers before the Dark Lord's visit. The heir hears strange words from Tang Gong, which he considers a compliment. He realizes that Tang Gong has seen his true value as an heir. The boy asks Tang Gong if he will teach him. Tang Gong, seeing his determination, realizes that there is no point in resisting. Tang Gong agrees to teach the heir the true dance of the storm. He realizes that this is an important step to revive the squad. The heir officially asks Tang Gong to become his teacher. He realizes that this is his chance to prove his strength and revive the Storm Squad. Tang Gong, as a member of the Storm Squad and a fierce wind warrior, accepts the guy's request. He realizes that this is different from the previous training. Tan Wanhui is beginning to learn the dance of the storm. He feels it will be difficult, but is willing to make every effort to master the technique. Tang Gong offers to change the bet. They decide to bet whether a man can learn the storm dance before the end of the day. The loser has to buy food and drinks. The boy is confident that he will win the argument. He is willing to watch Tang Gong's every move carefully to master the technique. The former members of the Storm Squad promise not to interfere in matters concerning the head of the family's inheritance. They realize that it is important for the future of the squad. Tang Gong realizes that even if the heir continues the tradition of Tempest, he won't be able to support him as the next heir. However, for others it will mean a new beginning. The heir feels that a new storm is about to appear that could join them on their journey. He believes it will be the beginning of a new phase for the squad. Guy and Tang Gong are joking about the lost bet. Tan Wanhui is confident that he will win and get the teacher to buy dinner. The heir and Tang Gong continue their training. The boy feels that he is getting closer to mastering the storm dance, but realizes that there is still a long way to go. The master jokes that the heir hasn't even treated him to one drink. He teases him by asking what kind of dinner it is. The heir offers Tang Gong another bottle of Archcopa. He jokes that he can't watch all this while sober. Tang Gong agrees, but hesitates whether to go to the Archon Tower. He realizes that it will be expensive, but is willing to bear the cost. The guy recalls how he had to hold back for 2 months because of the ban placed on him. He feels he can now afford to relax. Tan Wanhui realizes that he can no longer deny himself pleasures. He senses that this is a spell of communication from the revered god Nyamiros. The heir comes to this place to leave a mark. He wants his fellow desperados to know of his successes. The guy realizes that his mission is important not only for him, but for everyone who believes in him. He is ready to continue his journey despite the difficulties. Spidey reflects on the fact that it has been 10 days and there have been no suspicious encounters. He wonders how much longer he will have to sit and watch. Spidey notices a woman in the uniform of the Shanhe sect. He realizes that this is probably the first daughter of the Tang clan, Tang Kyujin. Spidey worries about how things will develop if she meets Namgung's daughter. He hopes the baby is okay. Spidey realizes that now is not the time to worry. He decides to make a good impression on the young master and ask him to be more lenient. The sister blames the lady. She says that her actions hurt others and that she locked him in his room and forbade him to eat. Spider hears that the focus needs to be on the Dark Lord. However, Kyujin realizes that this is no excuse for mistreating others. Spidey faces accusations that he didn't even know the helpers existed. He is told that they tried to kill someone. Spidey hears that Y is being called illegitimate. He decides to reveal the truth to protect him. The lady asks to wait. She says that Tang Kyujin has always been too soft, but that worsened after she joined the Qingxing sect. Spider ponders how to report the situation in the family. He realizes that everything looks like a mess. Spidey notices that someone is around. He decides to leave, but is worried about what she plans to do with the skill. The heir had been monitoring her through his spirit for 10 days now, but there was no news. He expected communication through the revered demon god mythos. Wumbi suggests that either these people are gone or they cannot act because of some limitation. Tan Wenhui realizes that the situation is clearly not good. He decides that he needs to get stronger or else he won't make it. We hears praise for his weapon skills. He is told he is doing well, but he is still not satisfied. The heir learns that the technique of scattering flowers is a tango technique. He understands why the movements are so disparate. Wumbi notices that many holy blades have complex movements in their techniques. He realizes that he still has much to learn. Tang Wenhui learns that the Tang clan is known for their flammable weapons and poisons. He realizes that this could be useful in his mission. We notices a similarity between the two concepts. They both use tools. He realizes that this could be the key to his success. The heir ponders that even though martial arts techniques are different, the Tang clan's weapon techniques are just as good as others. He wonders how best to distribute his weight in his movements. Wenhui realizes that alliances to effectively use poisons and hidden weapons are important. He also wants to learn the 9-heaven demon sword, which is divided into parts. Tan Wenhui wonders if he will be able to effectively use the sword that was only a dream in his past life. He realizes that the study of poisons will have to be postponed. Y remembers Kyujin, a man from the 9 Dragon clan who treated him as his own. The heir receives many letters from the sister even after he became the heir. He hopes that their good relationship will continue. Wenhui hopes that Tan Kyujin will maintain a good relationship with him. However, he realizes that he will now have to confront Namgung Sanyong. Tang Wenhui learns that Kyujin will visit the elders first. He realizes that he must hurry before his sister arrives. Y hears that he is being praised. He realizes that his efforts do not go unnoticed. The heir is thankful for the support. He realizes that his path will be difficult, but he is ready for it. Wenhui learns that the poison taken 10 days ago should have completely poisoned him. However, he realizes that even if he tells him now, his enemy will not be able to recover before the Dark Lord's visit. Tang Wenhui learns that when sister turns 30, she will become the official heir to the 9 Dragon Division. This piques his interest as he realizes that this could affect his plans. Y reflects on Kyujin, who is too frivolous for the role of heir. She has joined the Shangqing sect and has not studied martial arts, making her an unsuitable candidate. The heir decides that it would be fair for him to take the position of heir. He is sure he can handle this role better than sister. Wenhui receives a letter from the White Pavilion. It is addressed to Tang Yuchang and contains a challenge to a fight. This gives him mixed feelings. Tang Wenhui realizes that the letter might be poisoned. However, he notices that the sender did not use poison, but simply challenged him to a fight. Y decides to refuse the challenge. He realizes that the sender has ulterior motives and doesn't want to become a puppet in someone else's game. The heir hears that he is being accused of cowardice. He is ordered to immediately send someone to the White Pavilion to deliver a message. Wenhui learns that there will be a fight tomorrow at noon in the second training room. His opponent threatens to personally put his head in the steelhead. Tan Wenhui wonders what exactly was written in the letter to cause such a reaction. He doubts that a person with so little patience could become an heir. Y decides not to stop his brother. He thinks it will be incredibly exciting to watch the events unfold. The heir is preparing for a fight with his brother. He intends to beat him to teach him a lesson. The sister talks to Yuchan and asks him about the battle with her brother. Kyujin doesn't understand anything. She is shocked and wonders if Y started it and how he was able to do it. Tang Kyujin senses a strange ghostly energy while near the White Pavilion. She tries to understand what this energy is and where it is coming from. The sister sees new symbols that seem to be connected to some kind of power or energy. She tries to decipher them to understand what they mean. Kyujin notices traces of death energy and remnants of poison. The place looks like the abode of a madman, and she wonders what kind of martial arts were used here. Tang Kyujin continues to study the energy traces. She realizes that this place is connected to something dark and dangerous. The sister has detected a ghostly energy. She wonders how it appeared and what it means for him. Kyujin sees another set of symbols that seem to be connected to some kind of power or energy. She continues to try to decipher them. Wunbi is confronted with a cruel greeting from his sister. He is surprised by her behavior and wonders what caused such a reaction. Tang Kyujin apologizes for her reaction but admits she didn't expect to be attacked. Y explains that he was attacked while using the poison dragon technique, which is why he couldn't react in time. The heir worries that if her poison level and fighting ability become known, his plan will fail. He suspects that Nagan Sanyong may have sent someone to scout him before the battle. The sister admits that she was worried about her brother because of their mother. She feels that her stepmother may have been involved in the attack. Kyujin is relieved that her brother is all right. Wonhui notices that sister is looking at him the same way his master did, who was the only one who cared for her. Tang Kyujin notices a strange energy emanating from her brother. She wonders if he has gotten involved in dark deeds, suspecting that he is using poisons. Her sister is surprised to learn that her brother has combined mystical energy with poison. She wonders how this is possible. Y confirms that it's the cursed poison. He says that he actually just combined mystical energy with the poison to create that effect. The heir realizes that it will be difficult to hide the energy of his death from prying eyes. He decides to pass it off as another energy. Wonhui confesses that this is the only poison he can use without the help of his family. He realizes that this may sound implausible. Kyujin wonders if it is natural for their family to disregard morality in order to achieve more power. Wonhui challenges sister, suggesting that she try to stop him with her own powers. Kyujin notices that her brother has changed a lot. Y realizes that he no longer wants to rely on protection like he used to. The heir decides to set a clear line in their relationship, even if it will affect their bond. Sister realizes that Guy's words are awakening her thirst for battle. Tang Wonhui notices that her energy and desire to kill are growing stronger. Kyujin recognizes that her brother has exceeded her expectations. Y realizes that this energy is the great power that breaks down barriers. The heir ponders the celestial ghost stream, which is most likely the source of the sister's power. He admits that he has been doubting this for some time. Wonhui wonders why Kyujin, first in line for the inheritance of the 9 dragon family, needed to become a member of the Chicheng sect. Tan Wonhui reflects on the inner strength that makes the bearer unrivaled. He realizes that this talent is the key to breaking down barriers. Y realizes that strength is rooted in the soul. He realizes that these trainings and methods are unique. The heir recalls the factors that made Kyujin a tireless killer. He attributes it to the Tang clan's teachings, which preach victory at all costs. Wonhui offers to discuss her energy, but first wants to know more about her sister's power. Tang Kyujin admits that she forgot why she came. She apologizes for pointing her sword at her brother and interrupting his training. Y notices that sister easily takes away the blood desire caused by the heavenly ghost stream. He realizes that Qingqing's training is paying off. The heir offers Kyujin some tea, noting that she is quite strong. Sister enjoys the delicious tea that Wonhui brought from Heaven's Eye Mountain. She is surprised that Tang Wonhui turned out to be an expert at it. Kyujin thanks her brother for the tea and notices that she brought something else with her. Tang Kyujin shows why the dried fruits she brought. The heir jokes that not that he likes them, but he feels he should thank his sister. Wonhui jokes that it's not that he loves them, but he feels he should thank Kyujin. Sister agrees that the fruit is indeed delicious. Tang Wonhui wonders how Kyujin, who previously exuded a desire to kill, can now be so calm. Y wonders what brought sister to him. He realizes that Tang Kyujin has changed, but he still can't get used to it. The heir assumes that Kyujin has come to interfere with his fight with Yuchang tomorrow. She admits that this is partly true. The sister comes to apologize to Wonhui. She knows what their mother and Chan did to him, but realizes that her apology is no substitute for theirs. Tan Wonhui doubts that Kyujin's apology can replace their mother's actions. However, sister insists that she still wants to apologize. Y admits that he's going to fight Chan anyway. He was worried that sister was pushed into it, but now he sees that it's part of her plan. Tang Kyujin asks Guy if he's sure of his decision. She realizes that Y is strong, but Chan is a serious opponent. Sister shares with the heir that she has heard about Chan's plans. She knows Chan is up to something, but she doesn't know the details. Tan Wonhui admits that he has a trump card up his sleeve too. Ever since he was slipped the poison of madness, he knows that his opponents underestimate him. Kyujin warns Y that even if he wins, their mother's influence in the house must not be forgotten. If Chan loses, his mother will do anything to cover it up. The heir suggests that sister come to the second training site tomorrow. He realizes it could be important to their plans. Wonhui is thinking about the fight at hand. He realizes the stakes are high and is willing to do whatever it takes to win. Tan Wonhui realizes that his plan could cause problems for their mother. He knows that news of his victory will come as a shock to her. Y notices that their dear Yu Chang is nervous. He realizes that this could play into their hands. The heir decides to set up a little provocation so that Yu-chan can have some fun. He knows it might help them in the upcoming battle. The master reflects on how much effort Manhwa has put into preparing for the upcoming fight. He realizes that it was not easy. A crowd has gathered to watch the upcoming battle. People are discussing who will be the winner, and some have come for work to keep order. Tang Day notices that there are a large number of people gathered around. He realizes that everyone is waiting for the spectacle, but he is more concerned about the outcome of the battle. People in the crowd are discussing who will be the winner. Many people think that Yu-chan will win because he has been practicing longer than Y. Teacher hears people discussing that the heir was the one who initiated the duel. This gives him mixed feelings, but Manhwa is ready to prove that he challenged Yu-chan to a duel for a reason. Yu-chan wonders why he decided to take this duel in the first place. He realizes that it was a risky move, but he believes in his own strength. Tang Manhwa spread the news of the duel and opened the doors to anyone who wanted to watch. He realizes that it has attracted the attention of the whole neighborhood, but thinks it's a good way to teach a lesson. Yu Cheng notices that all the slackers in town have come to see the fight. He jokes that it will be a good lesson for everyone. Yu-chan faces provocation from Y. The heir mocks him, saying he is worried about his mother. Yu-chan responds to the provocation by saying that Guy's mouth is as dirty as their mother's. He is ready to fight back. Tang Manhwa continues his taunts, hurting Yu-chan's honor and mother. Yu-chan is furious and calls Y a bastard. He is ready to fight back and will not tolerate the insults. Yu-chan threatens the heir, saying he'll bury him and his lousy mouth. He's ready for a fight and has no intention of backing down. Manhwa notices that Tang Yu-chang came to the arena first. He is surprised because he was the one who initiated the duel. Tang Manhwa realizes that his brother is easily pissed off. He notices that things are going in his favor and that gives him confidence. Y declares himself a representative of the White Pavilion and expresses his desire for the title. Despite this, he wishes good luck to his opponent. Yu-chan notices that Manhwa was supposedly frightened as soon as he stepped into the arena. Tang Manhwa uses a private whispering technique to throw him off balance. The heir watches his manners, while Yu-chan acts like he's the one who invited the duel. Y realizes that it's not the behavior that matters, but the outcome of the battle. Manhwa realizes that Yu-chan is a rising star at home and is considered a genius. He knows not to underestimate him. Tang Manhwa starts the fight with provocation, asking if Yu-chan is ready for a verbal altercation. He's sure this is just the beginning. Y is confronted by the smoke screen that Yu-chan uses. He didn't expect this move, but he's ready for the unexpected. The heir loses visibility due to the smoke screen. He realizes that Yu-chan is using stealthy techniques, but doesn't panic. Manhwa ponders that using a concealed weapon without cover doesn't make sense. He notices that Yu-chan is not attacking recklessly. Tang Manhwa uses the shadow cover step to avoid being attacked from behind. He reminds Yu-chan that Master taught him this technique. Y continues the fight using his skills and technique. He realizes that Yu-chan is strong, but he has no intention of giving up. The heir is ready to show Yu-chang what he can do. He is confident in his abilities and intends to use all his skills. Yu-chang uses the shadow cover chi technique, which makes him invisible to his opponent. It is a powerful technique that allows him to hide and attack stealthily. Manhwa understands why Yu-chan is called a genius. He will have a hard time tracking him down in the smoke, but he has no intention of giving up. Tang Manhwa notices that Yu-chang's mastery of shadow cover is not high enough to hide from his dead man's eyes. He also sees the bloodlust oozing out of his opponent. Y realizes that even without the dead man's eyes, he would have been able to track down Yu-chang. He notices that his opponent's shadow cover has improved, but it's still more like a game of hide and seek. From the stands, they notice that Yu-chang's shadow cover has improved, but it still feels more like a game of tag. The heir is ready for the next step. Tanjing assumes that Yu-chang is simply avoiding attacks until the smoke clears. He is prepared for the fight to become even more intense. The teacher realizes that even if the smoke clears, it will all be in vain if Yu-chan can't land a good punch. He remembers that he taught Y a move for such an occasion. Tanggong jokes that he's done more than Madam asked. He realizes that Yu-chan thinks he's terrible, but Master is ready to prove otherwise. They all say they are the best in the world. The fight goes on. Yu-chan realizes that the smoke is beginning to clear and decides to put an end to this battle. He was going to show mercy, but now he sees that Manhwa himself is to blame for the battle dragging on. Tang Manhwa notices that Yu-chan avoids attacks by using the shadow cover step. However, he is sure that his next attack will be unstoppable. Y prepares for the decisive attack. He is confident that Yuchan won't be able to avoid this blow. Yuchan uses a downpour of pear blossom needles, everything explodes, dust, smoke, and light. Yuchan uses the heavenly nymph color scattering and everyone around is shocked, sister in particular. The heir praises Yuchan for his skills, but realizes it's time to end the battle. He is ready to deliver the decisive blow. All the people are confronted by a powerful wind that rises in the arena. They are surprised by this technique and try to understand what is happening. Kyujin realizes that this is the technique Manhwa learned yesterday. Even she can't see it properly because of the ghostly and poisonous energy. The sister finally realizes what technique Y had been practicing all along. It was the storm dance. Yuchan is shocked by what happened. He can't believe that the heir was able to use such a powerful technique. Yuchan ponders how Manhwa was able to learn the storm dance technique. He recalls that even he and Kyujin couldn't learn it. Yuchan realizes that someone has provided Y with an excellent teacher. This explains how he was able to master such a difficult technique. Manhwa rushes in sharply and punches Yuchang. He couldn't do anything. So fast was that punch. The heir throws Yuchang back a few meters using the storm dance. The impact was very strong. The crowd is shocked that young Mr. Yuchang lost to Manhwa in just one punch. Everyone recognizes that it was a really good punch. Y hears people discussing his victory. They recognize that the outcome of the fight was unpredictable. The master explains that Yuchang has everything he needs to win, but he couldn't resist the heir's technique. He realizes that it wasn't just a random punch. Tang Tae cries out that Tang Gong can't just brush off his question like that, he has to answer it. The teacher notices that the wind he feels is reminiscent of one they felt once. Tang Tae wonders if Y might have the same talent as their ancestor. The master ponders that Manhwa has learned how to create a storm in just 10 days. He realizes that these are still only preliminary findings. But should he continue to watch him? Tang Gong can't believe that the heir is still creating wind. He begins to realize what is about to happen. Manhwa wonders if it is worth fighting his brother. He realizes that it could be dangerous, but his heart demands a battle. The crowd learns that the sister, Kyujin, has returned from Qingqing. She's the heir to the 9-dragon family and her return could change the course of events. A man in the crowd remembers that he hasn't seen Tang Kyujin in years. He realizes that her return may mean that she is going to fight Y. The crowd is in anticipation of the battle between Manhwa and Yuchang. Everyone wants to see the skills of sister who can also take part in the battle. Tang Tae notices that the situation is getting out of hand. He asks Master if the heir has a chance against Kyujin. The teacher thinks that if Y defeats sister, she can claim to be the heir. But if she loses, all the attention will go to her. Tang Kyujin realizes that refusing to fight in this situation could damage their reputation. She wonders why Manhwa is asking for conflict. Sister feels that her heart is demanding a battle. She realizes that she must deal with her desires, but it is not so easy. Kyujin realizes that they need to worry about Y's position in their family now and apologize to him for past mistakes. The heir wonders why sister is so worried about a battle that doesn't lead to death. Wonbi notices that Kyujin might just be enjoying what is happening. He realizes that she can barely contain her emotions. Manhwa sees sister enter the arena. He realizes that the battle is getting even more intense. Tang Qiujing introduces herself as an heiress of the 9-dragon family and a swordsman trained under the Qingqing sect. She specializes in the techniques of the lonely in the world and lightning cutting blade. Sister expresses her hope for a good battle. Y is introduced as the second successor of the 9-dragon family from Kan Tang. The heir asks for mentoring from his rivals. He notices that Kyujin likes what's going on. Tang Kyujin admits that she hasn't been this excited in a long time. She feels energized by the battle. Wonbi notices that sister wants to fight him. He realizes that it will be a serious test. Manhwa realizes that Kyujin wants to fight him. He is ready to accept the challenge, but knows it won't be easy. Y realizes that a battle with sister is inevitable. He is prepared for it to be a difficult challenge. Tang Kyujin realizes that the seal of the early wind blade stopped Guy's sword that day. She wonders if she will be able to swing the sword freely now. Sister feels that her skills are superior to her opponent. She wonders what other advantage Y can gain. The heir uses the art of shadow cover. He realizes it may be the key to his success in future battles. Manhwa surprises Kyujin with her knowledge of Chan's skills. The sister realizes that her brother has exceeded expectations. Tang Kyujin realizes that Manhwa still hasn't fully mastered his skills and attacks him even harder. Y ponders the power of Qingqing's sword art. He realizes that it is not just a random technique but the result of effort. The sister decides to show her secrets. The air also activates his energy, decides to show its full power to Kyujin. Tan Wonwi begins to use the poison dragon technique. He realizes that it can give him an advantage in battle. Wonwi unleashes the ghost dragon's energy. He feels that this may be his last chance to win. Tang Kyujin realizes that this is the same poisonous aura, the same ghostly energy. She runs forward to attack Y. The sister stands in full fury and points her sword towards the air. She says that the person with this energy is the one she wants to fight. Kyujin allows a strike, but only one. Wonwi notices that sister's aura has changed beyond belief. Tang Wonhui sees the murderous energy of Azul's ghostly aura merged with Qingqing's sword aura. He feels a strange sensation as if he's looking at a wrangler dressed in angel robes. Y decides to settle for the first strike to take control of the battle. He realizes that his storm, with which he defeated Chan, is now much stronger. Tan Wonhui realizes that his technique is too obvious. He decides to be more careful and thanks for the advice. The air ponders the explosive speed of the storm dance mixed with the secret arts of the Tang clan. He realizes that it creates a killer technique. Wonbi realizes that against a stronger opponent, this technique would be risky. He decides to use the technique for multiple attacks. Yuchan watches the battle from the side. He shouts with rage that Tang Wonhui is a damn bastard. Y uses explosive storm speed and momentum to speed up the rotation. He applies 12 strikes of Furious Tiger. Tan Wonhui continues his attacks but realizes that he doesn't have to give his opponent any distance. He wonders if he should expect a counterattack. The air faces a powerful opponent who uses a lightning-fast blade in his technique. He realizes that the battle is becoming increasingly difficult. Wonhui wonders if he can handle such a powerful attack. He realizes that he must be careful. Tang Wonhui hears taunts from Yuchan, who is sure that he is not capable of more. He decides to launch an attack despite his doubts. A man from the crowd notices that young Master Yuchang has finally come to his senses and sits up. Yuchan hears that Y has not only knocked him out but is fighting on equal footing with the sister. He realizes that this is a serious challenge. Yuchang realizes that Kyujin might lose. He can't let that happen and decides to continue the offensive. The heir realizes that time is running out. He decides to continue the offensive so as not to miss the chance to win. Tang Kyujin notices that Wonhui is too focused on the sword. She realizes that unarmed strikes are different from Qingqing's style. Sister recalls studying the arts of the Tang clan 5 years ago. She realizes that the combination of the Qingqing sword and the Tang clan's 100 strikes method can be a powerful weapon. Y realizes that the two opposing martial arts merge perfectly in an attack. This is the power of Azul's ghostly strike. Tan Wonhui feels his body go numb with every heartbeat. He realizes that this could be the result of his technique. The guy hears that his attacks are not like standard attacks. He is told that he reads his opponent like a seasoned warrior. Tan Wonhui realizes that his experience in hundreds of battles makes him stronger. He jokes that it's true. Y recalls that he was once a young Wonhui who had no fighting energy. Now he uses mystical arts out of the book. The sister notices that her opponent is up to something. She sees a beautiful smile but realizes there is danger behind it. Kyujin ponders about what their dear Wonbi will do now. She feels that the situation is becoming increasingly tense. Guy realizes that the enemy's attacks are not aimed at vital organs. He feels that this may be part of the strategy. Tan Wonhui is grateful for sister's good intentions but realizes that he has no reason not to use it against her. Kyujin notices that the wind deflected by the impact is circulating in front of her, restricting her movements. She realizes that this could be dangerous. Nurse says that Y has learned how to use the storm phase in such a short time. She realizes that this is a major accomplishment. Tang Kyujin realizes that the situation is becoming dangerous. She is prepared for the battle to become even more intense. The air made his impact, flashes of light, pieces of rocks flying around. It was like the most real and powerful explosion. All the people are shocked. The people in the stands are shocked, the crowd is shocked, Yuchang is shocked. They all didn't expect this incredibly powerful kick. We see Guy with the wind still flying around him, the remnants of the force of his punch. His eyes are black and his fist is out in front of him. He stood up proudly and now it was clear, this blow was the decisive blow in his battle with his sister, Tang Kyujin. Tan Wonhui had won the victory with the help of his powers. After a tremendous impact, the dust from the explosion settles and the Wonhui tank becomes visible. Everyone in the stands and around is in shock. Tang Dai asks if Kyujin is okay. He notices and wants to make sure she's okay. The master notices that everyone is surprised not only by Y's strength, but also by the flash of light that occurred during the battle. This adds even more intrigue to what is happening. The heir realizes that the flash of light they saw was not accidental. This adds even more mystery to what is happening. Guy wonders if what happened is fair. He realizes that the battle is becoming increasingly complex and unpredictable. The sister confesses that she wanted to hide the sword until she could figure out Tang Wenhui's plan. But now that he's seen it, there's no point in hiding it. Tang Kyujin shows off her strength as she transitions into her early form. What is not surprising is that she is the heir of the 9 dragons. Yuchan notices that he has always had faith in her. He realizes that Kyujin is now ready to show her full power. Sister declares that Wai doesn't stand a chance anymore. She uses the chi sword technique to quickly end the fight. Tang Kyujin regretted that the fight would end so quickly. She wanted to enjoy it longer and see what her brother was hiding. The heir realizes that the fight will be over in the next instant. He recalls how his earlier wind sword technique blocked Kyujin's attacks until now. Tan Wenhui realizes that he can't use his true fighting skills to their full potential. He is left with only one option to confront the sister. Kyujin feels her heart beating faster. Wai is a little flustered, but realizes that only a true martial arts warrior can handle a situation like this. Sister says that only those who are crazy about martial arts can call themselves true warriors. Guy reflects on the fact that after his rebirth, he was too focused on mastering the martial arts. However, the life of a warrior he envied was not what he expected. Tan Wenhui realizes that the life of a warrior he envied is not what he imagined. This causes him to reflect on his true desires. Wai ponders his emotions as he fights Kyujin. He wonders how to express everything he feels and how martial arts affects sister. The heir notices how martial arts affects Tang Kyujin. He can feel the excitement and fighting spirit rising within him. The boy confesses that this is why he wanted to become a warrior, to feel it all. Kyujin notices that his breathing is normal and he is ready to continue fighting. They simultaneously drew their weapons and headed at each other with a firm desire to win. Tan Wenhui realizes that sister intends to end the fight in one blow. He decides to use his most powerful attack in the form of storm dance, combining it with spectral energy. Wai ponders whether his skills are enough to fight a martial artist at the early peak level. He realizes that this is a serious test. The heir wonders if his strategy is working. He doubts but continues the fight despite the uncertainty. Tang Yuchang feels frustrated because the gap between him and Kyujin has widened. This makes him wonder about his own capabilities. The guy is surprised, but realizes that he has been waiting for this moment. He is ready for decisive action. At the decisive second, Qi leaves the sister's sword. This becomes the turning point of the battle. Tan Wenhui notices that Kyujin's sword has become a common weapon. This gives him a chance to win. Wai realizes he can't move his arm. He ponders that he can usually win by breaking the swordsman's weapon. The heir realizes that this is not the end. He remembers that sister is the possessor of Azul's ghostly stream. The guy is sure that Tang Kyujin will never stop because of such small things. He is ready to continue the fight. Tan Wenhui decides to put all his remaining energy into one powerful punch. He realizes that this is his last chance. Wai uses the Thunderwind cannon shot technique. Kyujin recognizes that he is indeed the best. The tribunes notice that the heir's opponents are overconfident. They realize that both could be seriously injured. Guy ponders meeting the head of the clan in a combat situation. He wonders how it will affect the outcome of the battle. A sister greets the head of the 9 dragons. Tang Wenhui realizes that this man is his father and the leader of the clan. Wai repeats his greeting to the head of the 9 dragons, Tan Hosen, realizing the importance of this moment. Kyujin greets the head of the 9 dragons. She talks about stopping to avoid seriously injuring each other. The heir greets the head of the 9 dragons, realizing that this is his father and the leader of the clan. Tang Haosan appears on the battlefield. The guy notices that he has become much stronger since the storm's decline. Tang Wenhui reflects on the strength of the Tang clan's organization. He compares the squad leader to an elder of the heavenly demon sect. Wai admits that this man is so powerful that he couldn't even plan on defeating him in his past life. The heir wonders what he is doing here. He feels that his gaze has been too intense. Tang Haosan asks if there is a place in the 9 dragons where he is not allowed to enter. He is worried about his poor martial arts skills. The guy says he was just worried that Haosan, seeing his poor martial arts skills, would take offense. Tan Wenhui feels that everyone is shocked by his response. He thinks it is a reasonable response, especially from an illegitimate child. Tan Hosen says he didn't feel anything while watching Wai fight. The heir notices that Tang Haosan's words sound like those of a real father. Keisan also mentions that he has seen some changes in Parn. Tan Hosen expresses disappointment in the other clan members, Tan Gong, Tan Jing, and Tan Te. He feels that they could have acted better. Tan Hosen criticizes them for being slow to react. He encourages them to keep working on themselves to become stronger. Tan Wonui asks why sister looks so depressed. He tries to understand what is going on with Kyujin. Why notices that his father has suddenly taken an interest in the child he had previously ignored. He also remembers how his father turned his back on his son who did not live up to his expectations. The heir asks how the food situation is. He jokes that it looks like she hasn't been fed in days. Kyujin states that she is growing up and therefore should eat meat and drink what she wants. She refers to Taoism to emphasize her point. The guy jokes that she needs another glass. He cheerfully asks for more, savoring the moment. Tan Wonui asks about the older brother mentioned above. He is curious, but his interlocutor asks him to stop asking. Why notices that his interlocutor did not mention his older brother's visit to the head of the clan. He realizes that they will have to meet and wants to know more. The heir discusses rumors that the Dark Lord is trying to create a new special unit. He suggests that this could affect all the sects and clans in Sichuan. Guy ponders why they can't trust the sister. He suggests that there may be something more important behind it. The teacher asks if this is the friend he was going to invite. He jokes that you have to be softer in the training room. Kyujin is surprised that Uncle Tanggong came here and she wasn't warned. Master jokes that the meal was probably on him. Sister asks why is so informal. She says that her brother doesn't understand what kind of person this Tanggong is. Tang Wonhui learns that Guru is actually his father's fighting brother. He recalls how he saved him during the Keelsan bloodbath. The heir turns to Tanggong asking what's wrong. He notices that the master looks confused. The boy confesses that he doesn't know how to apologize properly to his uncle. He feels embarrassed and apologizes for his impoliteness. Tan Wonhui is sure that his uncle will understand him if he apologizes properly. However, he notices that sister has probably made the situation more difficult. Wai asks what his interlocutor thinks of the old storm squad, the righteous wind squad. He tries to understand how it relates to current events. The heir notices that his interlocutor is in an awkward situation. He agrees that it's not interesting but admits that he was right. Guy reflects on how through this conversation he has attracted the attention of the old storm squad, Kyujin and Tanhosen. He realizes that this could have repercussions. Tan Wonhui didn't think the situation would go this far. He begins to realize that their journey could be a very long one. Wai is warned that if they go too far, they may be killed, thinking they have escaped. He realizes that he has to be careful. The woman notices that they have arrived unannounced. The heir wonders if there will be something important there. Spidey learns that a colleague who poisoned the young master lives in the temple. He senses a strong dark energy and wonders who this man really is. The figure thanks them for coming and remarks that the temple master told them to meet them. Namgung wonders how the temple master knew of her arrival. His insight is impressive, but it also causes a slight unease. The spirit notices that the temple master is waiting for them inside. She invites them in, and Namgung realizes that this is a kind of zombie in the translation of the original. Namgung notices that the temple master is waiting for them inside. He invites them in, and Namgung realizes that this place is a kind of zombie in the translation of the original. The spirit ponders the fact that this place does not look like a sorcerer's dwelling. He wonders if what they have already said is enough. The spider realizes that he needs to follow the young master's orders to listen to his request. He is ready to act decisively. The horned spirit asks for light divinations to be sent to him. The Storm Lord is told that Madame Namgung has arrived and must be let in. Overlord notices that she's here because things haven't gone according to plan. He tries to figure out how to fix the situation. Namgung asks who puts more into the needs of the temple than others. She tries to understand who is behind it. Lord Stormlord is surprised to see her loved ones. She notices that the Maoshan sect requires a little more time to finalize their plans. Namgung says that if it works out, she will add another cow. The Lord thanks Madame Namgung and grants the favor of their god. The Lord recalls the request she came with last time. She recalls the need to brainwash the concubine's child. Namgung notices that the situation has changed. She needs something faster and more reliable to cope with the new circumstances. Tan Wonhui admits that he thought he was just a pawn to be used and discarded. However, he now realizes that his actions and Kyujin's attitude could get him into a lot of trouble. Wai asks if it's possible to turn him into a Jiangshi. He realizes that this may be the only way to deal with him. Spidey notices that it will be difficult for the young master to handle this on his own. He realizes that he needs to act quickly. Spidey jumps up and stumbles upon the ringing Jiangshi. He realizes that they could be a serious threat. Spider learns that the Maoshan sect faction has turned into the heavenly demon cult. This adds more complications to his plans. The Lord says that Namgung is haunted by unusual ghosts. She feels that the situation is becoming increasingly tense. Namgung adds another box to the payment. She demands that her interlocutor reveal the identity of the puppeteer behind it all. The Lord asks why they should look for a patron when he can appear on his own. She tries to figure out how to proceed. The arrival is ordered to capture an escaped ghost and find the sorcerer behind it. He realizes this is an important assignment. He accepts the assignment but notices that the ghost has proven to be nimble. She realizes that catching it won't be easy. The hunter notices that the ghost is pretty nimble, but he's not about to give up. He is ready to use all his skills to complete the task. Spidey senses an extremely unpleasant energy. He realizes that he has encountered something dangerous. Spidey warns the young gentleman to save himself. He realizes that the situation is becoming critical. Tan Wonhui asks Sister at the White Pavilion if she's really going to leave. She replies that she will leave as soon as she sobers up a bit. Wai ponders the fact that she will be tried to be stopped from now on. He realizes that Tan Kyujin knows this. The spirits wonder how a man with such a character could be the child of Tan Hosen and a girl from the Namgung family. They try to understand his nature. The heir notices that something has changed in him after today's battles. He feels that his fighting skills have become more refined. Guy ponders that the reason for his delay in fighting might have been due to the fact that he is still new to martial arts. However, he now feels that the delay is decreasing. Tan Wonbi asks if his interlocutor has heard of accumulated merit. He tries to understand how it is related to his inner energy. Wai learns that increasing his internal energy depends on training, education, family influence, and hobbies. He realizes that his growth will depend on his merit. The heir comes to realize that accumulated merit depends on reputation. He realizes that it doesn't increase his internal energy much. Guy reflects that the merit accumulated over the years in Tan Wonhui's body and his new merit are very different. He suggests that this may be the reason for the delay. Tan Wonhui realizes that his accumulated merit has begun to harmonize with Tan Wonhui's. He realizes that he has come to accept Tan Wonhui's personality as his own. Wai admits that he subconsciously thought Tan Wonhui's body was another person's body. Now he begins to see it as his own. The heir notices that his thoughts have changed since the duel. He now uses martial arts not in Tang Wonhui's body, but as his own. The guy realizes that his subconscious barrier is slowly eroding. He feels that now he will be able to succeed more easily in martial arts. Tan Wonhui remarks that harmony between body and soul is necessary to perfect the mystic art. He believes that the stronger the connection between Tan Wonhui's body and young Wonhui's soul, the faster he will reach his former level of mastery. Wai realizes that the sooner he achieves harmony, the sooner he will return to the level of mystic arts he had in his past life. Sister feels sadness and guilt at the hardships Guy has had to face. She notices that Tan Wonhui has begun building his own castle and now its walls will only grow higher. Kyujin realizes that Mom won't wait for Wai Castle to be completed. She realizes that she needs to act faster. The heir notices that it is a ghostly mist caused by Kinyawari's poison-making style. He already knew they were using ghostly sorcery. Tan Wonhui sees that they have finally gotten a hook. He decides to see how strong this fish is. The swordsman notices that the trail has brought him here. He assumes that the patron behind the concubine's son is using a special kind of ghostly sorcery. The hunter realizes that if the trail breaks here, the sorcerer must be nearby. He looks forward to meeting him. The assassin explains that the ghostly mist has mind-blocking properties. If he limits the formation of the mist, it can help in the fight against the sorcerer. A hunter wonders where his victim is. He senses that something is wrong and tries to figure out where the trail leads. The swordsman suggests that the sorcerer did not use ghostly sorcery himself. Instead, he used the concubine's child to activate mystic arts techniques. The assassin realizes that the puppeteer is smarter than he thought. If he attacks the puppeteer is bound to show himself, but otherwise he can't sense anything around him. The hunter notices that someone else is nearby. He is prepared for the unexpected and continues to monitor the situation. The boy realizes that this is a really big fish. He wonders if the deadly swordsman and Gu Diao were sent after him. Tang Wonhui realizes that this is definitely Blackbone's ghost and his swordsman looks like a deadly opponent. Wai ponders whether Sister is in control of the situation or just doing her duty to destroy her enemies. He tries to understand her motives. The hunter senses Qingqing's sword energy. He realizes that Das Qingqing is in the area and will probably intervene in the situation. The assassin notices that the girl who is supposed to be Tan Kyujin is here. He is surprised by her presence and tries to understand why she is here. Hunter realizes that he won't be able to handle Kyujin. Even if he achieves his goal, He won't be able to fight at full strength to avoid injuring his sister. The swordsman notices that Tang Kyujin might start torturing him. He wonders what she's thinking about. Kyujin realizes that he needs to stop thinking and just die. She realizes that Hunter might actually die here. Hunter recognizes that he may indeed die here. He is ready for decisive action despite the danger. The assassin confesses that he felt sorry for sister because she is Lady Namgung's daughter. He realizes that this affects his attitude towards her. The hunter increases in size using the ghost transformation technique. At this time, Tang Kyujin looks up at him and doesn't know what to do. The swordsman says that if Kyujin backs off, the situation will be easier for both of them. He tries to find a way to avoid further conflict. Hunter says his mission is a request from Mrs. Namgung. Sister thinks about defeating the enemy, finding out who is behind it, and convincing Mom to turn from this path. Swordsman senses the anti-demon energy. He notices that Kyujin is a really stubborn bitch, and that adds to the complexity of his fight. Killer ponders that if the sister wasn't so stubborn, things might have been easier. He realizes that the battle could be protracted. Hunter admits that he doesn't know when the puppeteer will show up. He realizes that he will be in a losing position if the battle continues. He notices that his target remains the son of the concubine. He realizes that the fog will soon weaken, and he has no choice but to use Gudao. Tang Wenhui sees that the enemy has finally used Gudao. He thinks it would have been better if the stubborn Kyujin had fought Gudao and the deadly swordsman would have come later. We notices that his interlocutor is making noise in the night. He tries to understand what is going on and is ready for the unexpected. The heir uses the first stage of his violet eyes on the spirit demon and uses the evil ghost's torment technique. The guy admits that he didn't expect this turn of events. He realizes that he didn't quite expect such a strong effect. Tan Wenhui realizes that Gudao, above all, has a strong body. He notices that the attack was necessary, but his interlocutor is too excited. He offers 2 courses of action. He is ready to take decisive steps to end the conflict. The killer hears a scream and realizes that his companion is trying to stop him. He is ready to take decisive action to end the conflict. Hunter notices that the puppeteer has taken control of the spirit. He realizes that this means the enemy is somewhere nearby, which makes the situation even more dangerous. Sister delivers a crushing blow. She says the hunter beckons her to cut him down. Tang Kyujin delivers a crushing blow. She says that the hunter beckons her to chop him up. That's exactly what she does to Hunter. Hunter loses his left arm and tries to collect himself. He wonders why Kyujin just cut off his arm. Hunter notices that sister has not backed down because of Mrs. Namgung. She plans to tear him apart to make him realize his mistakes. Tang Kyujin is surprised by her opponent's behavior. She wonders how Taoists, who are supposed to help others, can behave like this. The swordsman yells at the ghost, calling it a mindless bird. He tries to understand why the beast, which is releasing ghost mist, is behaving this way. Kyujin realizes that she needs to get rid of the remnants of the ghostly fog. She is ready to use a crushing blow to destroy the evil. The assassin notices that the ghost transformation technique is dissipating. He realizes he needs to find a way to escape. The hunter sees that the remnants of the ghostly mist are still here. He is ready to use them to his advantage. Ghostbird asks where the hunter is going. He is ready for decisive action to end the conflict. Tang Kyujin approaches Hunter's fallen-off arm and suddenly notices that he activates the limb explosion technique and F with his explosion Kyujin. But the sister has stood her ground. She looks into the hunter's eyes, and they realize that striking now will be very important to the entire battle. The assassin holds up some kind of balloon and throws it towards Tang Kyujin, at which time she attacks him with her sword. The ball hits the ground, and Kyujin seems to manage to hit Hunter with his sword. His sister notices that everything is going according to the hunter's plan. She warns Wai to be careful, as someone is using demonic arts. Tan Wenhui asks if Kyujin can help him. He feels that the situation is getting more and more complicated. Tang Kyujin wonders if they should kill the Jiangshi who intends to attack them. She tries to figure out the right thing to do. The heir realizes that the enchantment means that he is not strong enough right now. He realizes that he needs to find a way to enhance his abilities. The guy notices that if he can dispel the spell, he will reveal something important. He is ready for decisive action to achieve this. The sister doubts the words of her interlocutor. She wonders if he is telling the truth. Tang Wenhui ponders what he will do if Kyujin decides to submit to his mother's will. He realizes that he would then be the loser in this game of intrigue. Kyujin notices that Wai is going through so many difficulties. She feels that the situation is becoming more and more tense. The heir believes that the Tang clan is just a bunch of lying and deceitful people. However, sister is sure that heir will realize that not everyone is like that. Tang Qiujing notices the Jiangshi beast and asks if it wants more. She is ready to take decisive action. Hunter can't believe he's running away after a failed mission. He realizes that even if he reattaches his hand again, the situation will not change. Tan Wonhui wonders if his interlocutor is serious about just leaving the mansion. He is trying to figure out how to proceed. The hunter wonders if he has already been tracked. He wonders what the concubine's son is doing here and how he was able to follow him. The swordsman realizes that they may have tracked down the source of the dark ghostly mist spell. He realizes that if they are able to take control of Gudao, they are very powerful. The assassin is confident that he can uncover the identity of the puppeteer. He is ready to take decisive action to capture Y. The lurker assumes that the patron has some kind of wandering ghost assigned to him. He notices that the shape of the ghost looks familiar. The heir realizes that Namgung Sanyang is finally desperate. He wonders if someone from the Namgung clan is an ally of the Blackbone Ghost Valley. Swordsman asks how Guy knows about it. He tries to understand what information Guy is hiding. The hunter notices that the ghost's battle attire looks familiar. Tang Wonhui realizes that this means his interlocutor is an old man. The assassin recalls that 10 years ago in the Blackbone Ghost Valley, everyone knew about it. He realizes that this sorcerous weapon was used by the young heavenly demon Young Wonhui. He wonders why exactly Y possesses such a thing in the first place. The heir is hesitant to answer his questions. The guy admits that he has a lot of questions for his interlocutor. He realizes that he won't answer them right away. Tan Wonhui remarks that the answers to his questions will only appear after the death of his interlocutor. He is ready for decisive action. Y notices that the answers to his questions will only appear after the death of his interlocutor. He is ready to take decisive action. The swordsman assumes that if his opponent is indeed the cult's heir, he will be able to kill him with a single blow. He is prepared to take drastic action to avoid this. Hunter wonders if his opponent is using mystical arts or the power of the Ghost King. He tries to figure out how to counter it. The heir quickly pounces on the assassin. The swordsman notices that his opponent is using martial arts, but doesn't realize which ones. The hunter realizes that this is the secret art of the 9 dragon family, the storm dance. He realizes that it is a powerful technique to beware of. Killer notices that Guy is using martial arts instead of mystical arts. He realizes that this may be his weakness. The swordsman laughs as he realizes that Y is not an heir to the cult. He notices that a true cult heir would be able to use martial arts to destroy enemies. Hunter wonders how the heir was able to learn the abilities of the cult's heir. He tries to figure out where he got such skills from. The assassin notices that the weapon created by the cult's heir is in the hands of Tang Wonhui. He realizes that this could be a serious threat. Swordsman wonders how Guy uses martial arts and why he is still alive. He feels that the situation is becoming more and more mysterious. Tang Wonhui ponders whether or not he is the man the hunter knows. He realizes that he doesn't have time to ponder. The assassin realizes that Y is right. If he keeps pulling, the Wind of Justice squad or the bitch yelling like a horse will be able to stop him. He can't escape and must silence his opponent. Swordsman notices that if the scum is indeed the cult's heir, it could be a serious problem. He's ready for decisive action. The heir says that he thinks Hunter is weak since he carries Gudao around with him everywhere. Killer realizes that he needs to prove his strength. Tan Wonhui wonders if he should go back. He realizes he needs information, but a guy like Swordsman wouldn't exactly be trusted with it. Hunter was hurt by this. He exploded and ran at Y, screaming about how he would make him regret his words. Guy notices that the killer has moved. He's ready to make a move. The swordsman notices that the heir is trying to buy time by leading them away from the manor. He realizes that this could hinder him if the enemy gets scared and decides to run away. Hunter realizes that he needs to deal with the corpse as he gets too carried away. The assassin is relieved, but suddenly Tang Wonhui grabs him and tells him that if he wanted to rest, he should have moved farther away after using the reverse spell. Swordsman wonders if he's weakened at all. Y wonders how Hunter is going to deal with his corpse given his attacks. The heir realizes that the battle garb worn by the assassin is really the battle garb of the golden ghost of the cult's heir. Hunter notices that his attacks have no effect on Guy. Tang Wonhui says it will take years to turn into a corpse with these attacks. Y completes a test of his battle garb for durability. He is ready for decisive action to end the conflict. The swordsman notices that his strike has confirmed his thoughts. The heir is weaker, and his attacks do not inflict fatal wounds. He is confident he can win when the evil ghost's battle cloak falls off and the mystical energy runs out. Guy approaches the hunter, knowing that the latter is a jiangshi from the Blackbone Ghost Valley. He doubts that the killer was prepared for such a development. The swordsman realizes that Tang Wonhui is only holding on because of the golden ghost's battle garb. He demands proof that he can fight without the support of mystical energy. Hunter wonders if Y is using the art of illusion. He tries to figure out what technique he is using. The heir notices that his attacks are not seriously wounding him. He realizes that he can't break through the dead swordsman's defenses now. The guy admits he's going to have to work hard on his skills. He's ready for a long fight. Tan Wonhui realizes that it's time to end this fight. He is ready for decisive action to end the conflict. The assassin notices that Wai's attacks are useless against him. He feels confident in his abilities. Hunter realizes that unlike the heir's battle garb, his body does not wear out. He is ready to continue the fight. Guy admits that he was worried the fight would drag on if swordsman was dodging attacks. He's glad he's taking the blows. Tang Wonhui notices that the hunter was going out of his way to make sure all the attacks hit him. He wonders if the brain doesn't decompose during the transformation process. The killer wonders if the blood is a symptom of poisoning. He's trying to figure out what's going on. The swordsman realizes that this is the poison of lost souls. Wai is grateful that the hunter took the blows with his naked body, allowing him to see the effectiveness of the attacks. Hunter is furious that the lost souls dared to eat his body. He demands that they leave him alone. A multitude of spirits devour the assassin, biting him for every point the heir hit. He falls to his knees and steam comes out of him. The spirits have already tempted him all over. The swordsman asks Tang Wonhui to answer his final question. Is he the cult's heir? Wai interrupts him and doesn't answer. Instead, he says that Hunter won't just die, but will be in his chains. Guy notices that Killer doesn't seem to understand what's going on. He decides that he needs to leave and instruct the elders to train the newcomer to obey him. The heir receives confirmation from his subordinates that they will follow his orders. He is ready to continue his business, knowing that everything is under control. Tan Wonhui realizes that it's not that simple. He assumes that this is because he is not yet able to act on a subconscious level. Wai realizes that he needs to practice more martial arts and improve his skills in the mystical arts. He realizes that he needs to work even harder. A guy is walking through the woods and suddenly on the level of feelings notices that someone is following him, but he doesn't realize who. He doesn't know where they are hiding. Tan Wonhui is surprised to see father. He tries to understand what is happening. The heir notices that the man really didn't move, even though he saw everything. He tries to understand why this happened. Wai turns to nurse, asking how she made it all the way here. She is surprised that he isn't hurt and tries to figure out what happened. The boy assures me he's fine. He says he wanted to cut off the hunter's wings so he couldn't escape. Kyujin admits that she just beat up her opponent. Tang Wonhui decides that he will not cross sister from now on. The heir realizes that he missed out on the swordsman. He apologizes for failing, but assures them that the important thing is that they are together. Tan Wonhui realizes that it will be difficult to sneak a jiangshi of this size into the house. He tries to find a solution to this problem. Wai decides to keep jiangshi in the white pavilion. He is sure it will be a safe place for him. The sister agrees that she is done with the intruder. She's ready to move on. Guy learns that the hunter's master is the cursed mentor of White Bone. He wonders if it's him. Tan Wonhui remarks that he hasn't seen this old man in a long time. He assumes that the assassin knows his White Bone mentor. The heir recalls that this old man was involved with the art of death. He realizes he handled it in a month, but there are blue, red, and white bone merchants anyway. Wai learns that 4 of the Black Bone Ghost Valley are near the 9 Dragon District and are up to something. He is ready to take decisive action. The inauguration of the Dark Lord. Tang Munhak, the Dark Lord and one of the 10 greatest martial artists, leads the new squad. They wouldn't need the elders from the Black Bone Ghost Valley if they just wanted to leave the squad. Their plans are much bigger than that. Namgung Sanyang, the lady of the 9 Dragon clan, is also involved. Their intentions are much more serious than they seem. Plans that seemed crazy before may suddenly become realizable. Even ridiculous actions can make sense. The guy learns that they're trying to make an assassination attempt on the Dark Lord. Tang Wonhui realizes that the Dark Lord, one of the 10 greatest martial artists, is under threat. He assumes these guys are scouts. The heir is surprised that Hunter doesn't know about the community. He realizes that this is too important information to ignore. Wai is glad that Swordsman doesn't know about the community. He realizes that the dead Black Bone Ghost Valley assassin is also unaware. The guy realizes that this is all he can learn from the room. He is ready to take drastic action to get more information. Tan Wonhui hears the master ask if he is all right. He is ready to explain the situation and continue his actions. Tan Tong says that father ordered him to bring him to him. He tries to understand what happened in the courtyard and why there were marks left behind after his battle with his sister. The heir realizes that with the help of the Wind of Justice Squad and Tang Gong, things would have been much easier. However, he realizes that there are more difficult tasks. Wai recognizes that he needs to distract himself from how much Hunter knows and what his next move will be. He's ready for decisive action. Kei-san understands why Guy keeps his distance in public but talks formally in private. He tries to understand the motives behind his behavior. Tan Wonhui remarks that it has been a long time since they have spoken alone with father. He apologizes for this and is ready to continue the discussion. The heir wonders how Tang Haosan can joke about such topics. He realizes that if he is to be rewarded for defeating the swordsman, it must be seen as a public matter. Wai checks to see how much each of them knows about the situation. He is ready to share the information with father. Guy realizes it has to do with the arrival of the clan patriarch. He assumes that Kei-san knows of his doubts. Tang Kei-san notices that Tan Wonhui's inner energy, resourcefulness, and vision of the situation are at a level that cannot be achieved in a few years. He realizes that this is the result of a lot of hard work. Father realizes that Wai has been deceiving him for a long time. He recognizes that his vileness is befitting the Tang clan. The heir is grateful for the praise even though it sounds like an insult from Tang Haosan. He realizes that it is the best compliment one can receive in the Tang clan. Kei-san warns that he won't interfere in the arguments between boyfriend and Sanyan. He's willing to honor the boundaries. Tan Wonhui notices that the father allows his son to fight with his wife, but wants to leave the divine cult. He tries to understand what Tang Haosan is up to. Wai says he said all he wants to say and suggests that father go back to his place. He's ready to end the conversation. Tang Haosan notices that the heir is trying to beg for a reward. He realizes that it's something he can't get on his own. Guy says he wants to train in the monster forest. He explains that in this special environment he will be able to quickly restore his mystical power to the level of his past life. Kei-san says that only the clan patriarch can grant permission to enter the beast forest. He's willing to ask for it when they meet, but he doesn't expect promises. Father asks if Tan Wonhui wants to try something new. He is willing to offer his ideas for further development. Tang Kei-san asks if Wai wants to try and take that away. Kei-san calms Tang Gong down. The heir doesn't realize what's going on. He notices that it looks like a rare artifact. Guy sees that the energy around father is preventing him from fitting in. He offers to take it away in another way. Tan Wonhui sends a ghost. He is ready for decisive action to deal with the situation. Tang Haosan gives this to Wai. The heir realizes that it is now his responsibility. Father suggests that Tang Gong come with him. He notices that Master is surprised but is willing to follow him. The guy wonders what it is. He notices that it looks like an expensive pendant, but realizes it could be a concealed weapon. Tan Wonhui orders Hunter to leave. He is ready to take control of the situation. The teacher asks Kei-san if he is sure about this artifact. He realizes that this artifact was once very valuable to him, but it has been 20 years since the Storm Squad disintegrated. Tang Haosan notices that the main thing is that Wai wants to inherit the legacy of the Storm Squad. He realizes that this is why the master passed the bloody butterfly to the young master heir. Tang Gong learns that father showed the artifact to his other children, but neither Kyujin nor Yuchang showed any interest in it. Kei-san assumes that Guy is capable of unraveling the secrets of the bloody butterfly. He's willing to help him do just that. Tang Wonhui notices that judging from their reactions, this artifact is something valuable. He realizes that it could be a demonic tool that absorbs spiritual energy. Wai drives the spirit away with his hand to focus his attention on the bloody butterfly. The heir realizes that the artifact can't absorb that much spiritual energy. He tries to figure out how it works. Guy demands that butterfly stop resisting. He feels he's being made to look bad. Tan Wonhui wonders what would happen if he tried to use the artifact. He is willing to experiment to understand its capabilities. Wai admits that he was so upset about the bloody butterfly that he couldn't get a good night's sleep. He decides to deal with it later. The heir realizes that if the cursed White Bone Master finds out about the hunter's failed attack yesterday, he will definitely make a move. He decides not to cross the line and proceed with caution. Guy wonders if there is a way to disrupt his enemy's plans without fearing the interference of Tang Haosan. He realizes that such an opportunity is unlikely to arise immediately. Tan Wonhui interrupts his musings when he is interrupted by Gu Diao. He is ready to continue the discussion. Wai notices that the mist may be strong, but it's not enough to fight a few dead swordsmen. He realizes that he needs to strengthen it. The heir decides that if he's going to use the mist, he needs to make it even stronger. He is willing to use his blood as an intermediary to make it stronger. Guy plans to use the dead man's eye to turn it into a purified artifact containing the knowledge of the Ghost King. He decides to call it the blood of the Phantom King. Tang Wonhui wonders why he should give the artifact to the hunter. He doubts that the man deserves it. Wai offers to give swordsman the location of the Jiangshi Beast Farm in the Blackbone Valley. He wonders if he should give up the artifact in exchange for this information. The heir notices that the assassin agrees to the proposal. He realizes that he must now proceed carefully so as not to arouse suspicion. Gu Jiao ate the orb and began to transform into a huge bird. His wings, body, beak, legs, and strength increase. Guy ponders a mythical bird that is rumored to warn of an approaching demonic army. He wonders if these rumors are true. Tang Wanhui notices that the hunter seems more confident. He realizes that he sees more value in their cooperation now than before. Elder Huang asks why his interlocutor thought his soul would not be destroyed. Wai recognizes the swordsman's loyalty. He recalls how he remained loyal to him even at the brink of death. The heir notices that the assassin is still hoping that he can save his daughter. He realizes that this may be the key to their future cooperation. The guy decides to act with his own hands. He realizes that this is the only way to achieve the desired result. Tan Wanhui ponders that he could have left the third reason unspoken. He feels that he is getting rid of his chains, but doubts whether this is really the end of his struggle. Elder Javi remembers how he lost his wife and that his daughter was the only reason for his existence. He considers her his treasure and regrets that he could not protect her. Elder Chavi swears allegiance to his cause. He is willing to devote his soul and destiny to the fulfillment of his goals, trusting his allies completely. Elder Chavi declares that he will follow 16's orders without hesitation. He reminds them of the farm and offers to go there immediately if he gives up the artifact. Elder Chavi decides to tear apart his enemies with his new claws and beak. He is determined to use his new powers to achieve victory. The heir is worried that the enemies will start destroying the farm. He realizes that he must act quickly to prevent this from happening. Guy ponders that this will give him time. He plans to use this time to think carefully about his next steps. Namgung feels tired after an overnight trip. She reflects on what has happened in the past hours and how it has affected her condition. A woman notices that a corner has been turned, indicating an urgent matter. She tries to understand what exactly is going on and why it requires her immediate attention. Madame learns in a letter about Tang Wanhui's battle with Yuchang and Qujin as well as his exploits and victories. Namgung asks if father was watching what was going on. She tries to understand how seriously the situation is being controlled by her allies. Mistress wonders what brings sister here so early in the morning. She tries to find out the reason for this early visit. Qujin notices that Namgung had some urgent things to do. She realizes it's something so important that she can't tell her about it. The sister remembers how the man she saw yesterday massacred the hunter. She feels that the situation is becoming more and more dangerous. Namgung interjects exactly what Tang Haosan said. She tries to clarify the details to better understand the situation. The woman asks why Wai isn't hurt. Qujin notices that Jiangshi mentioned her, but hesitates to speak further. Mistress notices that everything Guy does is for his own purpose and power. She realizes that the illegitimate child was just a hindrance in his way. Sister says that Namgung's hate power is so great that she's willing to use any help she can get. Tang Qujin remarks that if her mother has no intention of veering off her chosen path, she must be prepared to face the consequences. Qujin realizes that she has to stop Namgung, even if she has to use force to do so. She calls her name, trying to get through to her. The woman wonders how the sister can fail to realize the obvious. She feels frustrated and perplexed by what is happening. Mistress realizes that all of this happened because of that thing. She regrets that she didn't take care of it sooner, before the situation got this far. Namgung declares that she is obligated to do this for Qujin's sake. She is determined to fulfill her duty despite all the difficulties. Tang Gong remarks that Wai shouldn't be too bold. He asks if he really needs to discuss what happened. The heir orders the master to stop muttering. He asks if they are still there and learns that this is the forge of Lu Ban, the god of crafts and ancient techniques. The master asks if the master is inside. He is informed that the master is indeed inside, and he is surprised to learn that it is the same loser who is here. Tan Wanhui meets the owner of the blacksmith shop, whose name is Tan Chugyong. He realizes that this man plays an important role in his plans. Wai introduces himself as the second son of that cold assassin. He remarks that Tan Chugyong has heard of his family and their history but didn't expect them to be so influential. The blacksmith asks why the lad has come. He is told that there is something he needs to do, and it is assumed that he is unhappy with what he has been given in the Nine Dragon clan. The heir notices that the master of the forge already has a whole list of things to do. He realizes that everyone wants to make sure their weapons are in working order before the Dark Lord appears. Tan Wanhui realizes that he needs an explanation. He is willing to listen to whatever he is told in order to better understand the situation. Tan Chugyeong assures that he will make everything perfect, even if the blueprint for the weapon isn't the best. He's ready to tackle any task. The Forge Master wonders why Y is going to become a Chi-Ching Taoist-like sister. He doesn't understand why it's necessary or why it's so important. Guy recalls that he asked to find the blacksmith, but he didn't talk about the hidden weapon. He tries to understand why Tang Chugyeong took such a step. The blacksmith notices that the heir probably has high expectations of him. He realizes that he must now live up to those expectations. Tang Chugyeong offers to show the blueprint. He wants to use the dark sword and modify it to make it more powerful. The artisan asks if Y really wants to do this. He notices that the sword looks like a metal fan and wonders about its unusual shape. Tan Wonwi notices that Tan Chugyeong is really good at blueprints. He realizes that the weapon they are creating will be tricky and interesting. The blacksmith asks not to be flattered and tells him more about the strange sword. He wants to understand exactly how this weapon will work. The heir explains that he wants the sword to look a certain way. He also mentions gunpowder but doesn't understand why it is needed in the sword. The spirit notices that the sword is shaped like a fan, but Guy calls it a sword. He also hears the word gunpowder, but doesn't understand what that has to do with weapons. Tan Wonhui asks if Tan Chugyeong is too lackadaisical. He realizes that he'll have to do it himself, since his interlocutor can't handle it. Tan Chugyeong explains that this drawing is for him, not for his students. He wants to show the finished sword at the Typhoon Clan's exhibition. We notices that this would be a great honor for him. He is willing to do his best to create the perfect weapon. The heir asks if it's really impossible. He explains that he has his own schedule and wants Tan Chugyeong to realize that it'll be difficult but not too difficult. Guy notices that his request seems to have been too much for Tang Chugyeong to handle. He realizes that he may have overestimated his capabilities. Tan Wonwi reflects on the fact that his request was too difficult. He wonders if it was really impossible. Y learns that Lu Ban, Tai Chut M, can fulfill his request in 15 days. He admires his skill and realizes that it will cost one sacrifice. The heir is sure that the Jiangshi farm has already been dealt with. He realizes that now all that remains is to finalize the last details. The guy asks what happened. He is trying to understand how the situation has changed and what needs to be done next. Sister wants to ask Namgung something. Tang Wonhui notices that her energy and spectral traces give away her emotions that she can't control. Y asks what Namgung thinks about the past. He notices that she's holding on to feelings of resentment or something similar and wants to know her opinion. The heir asks if Namgung can catch the wind. He is surprised when she doesn't understand what she's talking about. Tan Wonhui explains that you can catch the wind for a second, but you can't hold it in your hand. He remarks that if Namgung could stop the wind, it would no longer be wind. Guy declares that the future is more important to him. He is focused on what he wants to do and doesn't want to waste time on the past. Y realizes that Namgung is also thinking about the future. He thanks her for her help and asks her not to bother him for a while. The heir notices that the kind Kyujin has turned out to be angry. He tries to understand what caused this reaction. Tan Wonhui explains that the murderous energy comes from the lonely world style. He orders his spirits to stop talking and keep an eye on sister. The guy assumes that Kyujin had a fight with Namgung Sanyong. He doesn't think she'll just sit back after fighting with her mother. Y orders him to get ready to meet his guest. He realizes that he needs to be prepared for any surprises. Tang Haosan learns that Tang Wonhui has requested a meeting. He is surprised that the young master himself has come to see him. The father orders the heir to come in and wait. He notices that he wants to honor his father as his son. Keisan asks if the boyfriend has come. He notices that he wants to discuss the matter they talked about the night before and make a deal. Tang Wonhui notices that Tang Gong has instantly disappeared. He realizes that interfering in this matter could interfere with the Tang clan's plans. Y recalls realizing this while still on the training field. He notices that the energy father possesses is not what he expected. The heir admits that he has nothing he can give to Tang Haosan right now. However, he promises to protect his sister. Guy asks who Lady Namgung is involved with. He tries to understand who is behind what is happening and how it affects the clan. Tan Wonhui notices that the sound technology is still working. He realizes that if the connection between the guest and the demonic cult is revealed, the consequences will be serious. Y notices that the child is accused of belonging to a demonic cult. He realizes that children are mistreated in the lower world. Guy recalls that Tang Haosan, the man who led the Furious Wind Squad, stopped the demonic leader. He ponders who dared to put such a stigma on his children. The heir realizes that the world is not so simple. He vows to make every effort to ensure that Tang Kyujin escapes the stigma. Tan Wonhui wonders how exactly his interlocutor is going to fulfill such a promise. He is curious about the benefits he expects to gain. Wai assures him that he will prove his strength. He mentions the Great Bone Ghost to emphasize the firmness of his intentions. Guy vows to bring the head of the demonic leader. His determination to prove his loyalty and power knows no bounds. The old man refers to the Buddha of infinite light. He sees it as a sign of hope and light in dark times. A lady hears his daughter claim that he will not defeat one of his enemies. This prompts him to strive to prove otherwise. The demon admits that he was wrong in his judgment, since things have turned out this way. He adds that the loss of his apprentice makes him act decisively. The monster calms down Mrs. Namgung, promising to come out himself. He thinks it's time for the temple master to take matters into his own hands. The Lord advises Mrs. Namgung to sit down and wait. He tries to keep his composure in a heated situation. The lady learns that the master of the temple intends to come out in person. It is clear to him that the farm is likely doomed to destruction. An old man discovers that his pet farm, operating secretly in Sichuan province, has been attacked. He puzzles over who could have organized it. The demon asks if it is true that Zhu has energy similar to Gudiao, his creation. He finds it hard to believe what he has heard. Namgung faces accusations of deception. He tries to unravel why he is suspected of colluding with the sorcerer. Monster discovers that a high-class sorcerer has kidnapped the parasitic raven he created. He doubts that the sorcerer could have joined the Tang clan. The Lord accuses Mrs. Namgung of colluding with the sorcerer. He does not understand her words and seeks to clarify the situation. Lady encounters confusion and wonders why he is being associated with a demonic cult. He ponders whether the place really has something to do with the cult. The old man sees that Mrs. Namgung, judging from her reaction, was unaware. He admits that her family used her until she lost her value. The demon learns that Mrs. Namgung has made contact with a demonic cult, and her family has gotten her involved. It's obvious to him that the Namgung clan is connected to the cult. The monster addresses Mrs. Namgung by mentioning Wonhui's name. He believes that this name indicates the woman he blames. The Lord agrees that Mrs. Namgung was wrong. He realizes that the case is more complicated than it originally appeared. The heir is surprised by Madame Namgung's apology. This turn of events came as a surprise to him. The old man explains that he needs to gain the support of a certain person. He sees this as part of the deal where Mrs. Namgung has to charm the man. The demon threatens that if Mrs. Namgung refuses to cooperate, he will turn her into a jianshi to ensure the task is completed. Lady realizes that manipulation is his path to his goal. He is willing to take any steps to complete the mission. The guy sees that Mrs. Namgung has gotten involved with a demonic cult. He's amazed at how this guy knew about it, and he's convinced he's right. Tang Wonhui finds out that Mrs. Namgung only learned yesterday that the temple belongs to a demonic cult. It is clear to him that she has been deceived. The nurse observes that Mrs. Namgung looks lost. He assumes that her puppeteer, who has been controlling her for the past few months, has lost control. Wai concludes that Ms. Namgung's eyes don't belong to a puppet. He sees that she has figured out the situation on her own without anyone's prompting. The heir thinks that if Lady Namgung only knows the tip of the iceberg, he doesn't mind her reporting to the clan head. He adds that he can get righteous wind involved. Guy assumes that the temple where Mrs. Namgung frequented will be exposed. He foresees that the discovery of the Namgung clan's belongings in their vault will cause an uproar. Tang Wonhui ponders what the Namgung clan will say about all this. He senses that the matter could get very complicated. Wai reminds him that Mrs. Namgung is the wife of the head of the Wind Clan of the 9 Dragons. He doubts that she was abandoned so easily and thinks that she doesn't believe it herself. The heir asks what Lady Namgung wants. He confesses that he is greedy and would do anything for his ambition. Over the next week, Lady Sanyong brings him various jewels, including a wild silkworm mantle. He realizes that she was trying to get rare items for him. Guy marvels that one expects only the best from the illustrious Namgung clan. He is impressed by their riches and gifts. Tan Wonhui believes that some things are useful, but what really matters is what is valuable. He focuses on priorities. Wai explains that the pill is made from the poisonous herb fire poison, cornelian fruit, and bacteria in equal proportions. It seems ordinary, but its creation requires skill. The heir claims that he will open the middle dantian and reach the highest stage. He cautions that a mistake with the bacteria could destroy the body. Guy explains that the dogwood fruit and poisonous herb enhance the toxicity of the bacteria, creating a potent pill. He sees it as the best choice for him. Tan Wonhui is confident that his body can withstand the poison. He demonstrates that he has a special remedy for this. Why tells us that this miracle remedy was created by the divine physician of life and death. It is supposed to enhance his inner energy. The heir feels the pure energy flowing through his body. He is ready to take the poison pill and continue improving. Guy recalls the elder's words about the difficulty of digesting this poison. He realizes that with his level of poison dragon technique, it would be a challenge. Tan Wonhui warns that the process will be excruciating. He prepares for the pain, knowing it cannot be avoided. Why begins the process and his body reacts to the poison. He feels the energy spill over, causing intense pain. The heir feels that all the poisonous energy is now inside him. He sees this as an important part of his training. The poison spreads through his body, and Guy rushes to convert it into internal energy for the poison dragon technique. Tang Wonhui strains to focus the energy and direct it to the upper dantian. He retracts it and assumes the pose. A purple glow appears in the place of the upper dantian. Wai handles the poison and reaches the 6th level of the poison dragon technique. He is proud to have risen to the highest level in 2 months. The heir feels that he is progressing the fastest. He feels the pure essence in the middle dantian and realizes that he has reached the pinnacle of dragon mastery. The master hears a loud noise and runs to the source, thinking it is an intrusion. He is amazed to see the energy and asks what is going on. Guy receives a miracle cure from Mrs. Namgung. He is grateful for the gift and sees it as a chance to become much stronger. Tang Gong doesn't know what it was, but assumes that Mrs. Namgung has invested a huge amount of resources. He wonders if Wai wants to test his new power. Tan Wonhui recognizes that his teacher is truly outstanding. He appreciates the knowledge he has gained and is ready to move on. The heir claims to be putting out his full effort. His teacher marvels that he is already applying his inner energy on weapons and marvels at his talent. Guy feels that he is now controlling his body much more freely. He is pleased with the marked improvement in his skills. Wai realizes what it feels like to be at this level of martial arts. He feels that he now sees what his teacher sees. Tan Wonhui believes that using internal energy for weapons will open new horizons. The master is surprised by his disciple's desire to apply the 12 blows of the fierce tiger. The heir strikes with a series of punches that glow purple, indicating his immense power. Tang Gong was in shock, barely holding back Guy's powerful attacks. The teacher realizes that in duels, he will now have to really put his best foot forward. Tan Wonhui declares that he will make the teacher work to the point of exhaustion. He believes that this is the only way to achieve true mastery. The master hears rumors about his relationship with Lady Haosan. He suspects it has to do with her gifts. Tang Gong tells him that it is said that he was so moved by Lady Tang Haosan's efforts that he gave up his status as heir. He asks if Wai understands what peace is. The master suggests that the rumors of a liaison with Lady Father are fiction. The heir recognizes that he must behave in a certain way to defeat the cursed master of the White Skull. The boy is surprised that his interlocutor has not heard of the cursed master of the White Skull. He thinks he must have heard about him from Pawa Cam by now. Tang Wonhui sees that his interlocutor had no interest in the demonic cult at their meeting. He finds this logical given Mrs. Kayasan's connection to the cult. Wai asks if the interlocutor knows about the demonic magic grid. He explains that their jianshi is strengthened in this grid. The heir doubts whether he can kill the demonic cult leader even with his full effort. He realizes that failure will be a serious blow. Guy remembers that the cursed master of the White Skull reached a high level after his death. He sees this as an even greater threat. The master wonders what his interlocutor is going to do. He learns that the preparations are almost complete and wants to hear the plan. A lady comes to the heir at night and, on her knees, asks for help in desperation. Tan Wonhui is surprised that his interlocutor came to him at night for help. He thinks that someone might have suspected him of wanting to kill him. Wai realizes the predicament of his interlocutor. He learns that the abbot of the temple is threatening to turn her into a jianshi. Namgung warns that if she does not lead her interlocutor to the sorcerer who supports her, a terrible fate awaits him. The lady promises to fulfill whatever the interlocutor says. He is willing to do anything to help. Guy thinks back to the heir status that Mrs. Namgung fought so hard for. He ponders what will become of that position. Namgung vows to convince Kyujin and Tang Haosan to give up their heir status. She's willing to do anything to settle the conflict. Tang Wonhui claims that he will do anything to destroy the demon. He is determined to eliminate the threat from the cursed master of the White Skull. The heir is completing the last stage of his training. He is ready for the decisive battle with the cursed master of the White Skull and is confident of triumph. The blacksmith admits that he is in a difficult position. He regrets that he paid little attention to the sword while he was absorbed in the drawing. Tang Chug-yeon sees that it takes at least 2 weeks to fix the sword. He realizes that it's a demonic black steel weapon full of demonic energy. The man realizes that he will have to work without sleep for 2 weeks. He is frustrated that the apprentices will not help because of their lack of skill. Chug-yeon realizes that he doesn't have a third hand and needs to inform the customer of the delay. He's surprised to find himself in this position. The blacksmith is astonished to see an unexpected guest. He asks what he is doing here and expresses his displeasure. Tan Mun-hyuk wonders why his interlocutor is angry. He reminds him that they haven't seen each other for a long time and it upsets him. Chug-yeon insists that he must be in the Dragon Guild. He asks what the interlocutor is doing here alone and reminds him of the evening meeting. Mun-hyuk is curious as to who commissioned this sword. He finds it interesting and wants to know its origin. The man learns that the sword was ordered by Tang Haosan's child. He has heard that she is called Darkness, but he thinks she is still a child. Mun-hyuk realizes that he is talking about the second child, not the first. He is surprised to hear that he has a weak spirit and even weaker talents. Tang Mun-hyuk finds out that the kid wants to switch between 2 techniques with 1 weapon. He also plans to use a concealed weapon in a dangerous situation. The man sees that this is a typical Tang clan weapon. He thinks it is in keeping with their tradition and style. Tang Chug-yeon shows off the material for the sword. He realizes that the demonic black steel weapon makes it difficult. Mun-hyuk is surprised that the child wants to put cursed poison on the sword. He thinks this apprentice has been learning from a lazy man and wonders how he will use it. The blacksmith says that the child is able to use storm and curse spells. He begins to realize who it is and what it can do. Tang Chug-yeon remembers that he's running out of time with the order. Mun-hyuk wonders how the child will use this little weapon. The lady thinks the preparations are meant for 2. Wai reports that his master will be arriving soon to finish things. The heir sees that his master Tang Gong is almost here, and soon they will be in action. The master asks if they really need to leave at such an inopportune time. He thinks that now is the best time to start. Tang Gong reports that he got rid of Mu Young as requested. He wonders why this was necessary and learns that Mu Young was a spy. Namgung recalls hiding Mu Young, but he knew more than she thought. He realizes that the situation is more complicated than it seemed. The teacher sees that their group consists of 3 people. He realizes that this is all they have for now. Tang Gong asks if masks are really necessary. He believes that without them, they will be quickly recognized. The boy orders them to move forward. He senses that the fog is thickening, making their path more difficult. Tang Wonhui realizes that they have entered enemy territory. He asks the master if he senses this and prepares to fight. Wai sees that the Gensher beasts have stepped up their guard because of the raids on the farms. He realizes that this makes their task more difficult. The heir senses that the current enchantments are much stronger than the previous ones. He feels the powerful flow of magic and sees it as a chance for success. Guy encounters Spirit number 15. He thinks this could be a turning point in their mission. Spirit Girl admits that she doesn't know all the details but has heard that much was lost when the 12 black spectra passed through the old pavilion system. The others marvel at their audacity. Tang Wonhui sees that something has been preserved from the time when he collected the Ghost King's texts. He thinks it might be useful now. Wai realizes that using sorcery against an enemy who knows his weaknesses is like opening a door with a key inside. He decides to choose his spells more carefully. Monster Girl greets the Namgung follower and asks what brings her here. He is willing to listen to her and understand her goals. Ghost Girl sees that they are on high alert. He suggests that they move the boxes and the companions stay here. The lady asks if the interlocutor is sure everything will be all right. He agrees to enter, but cautiously. The Soul Swordsman sees that a follower of Namgung has brought the ordered items. The old man invites her to come in and hand them over. The Lord wonders what exactly she has brought. He sees that many of the items are imbued with sorcery and thanks her for fulfilling most of her requests. The demon senses mystical power from the box without even opening it. He praises Namgung's follower for her efforts. The monster decides to start using what he has brought at once. He has no intention of delaying his work. The old man opens the crate and sees that it's full of explosives, while Teacher and Wai grab Lady and bounce off the crates. The Lord realizes he won't have time to run away. The fuse is burning and the explosion is inevitable. The master assumes that the demonic magic must have disappeared after the explosion. However, the heir sees that the mystical arts have survived. The boy wonders if the cursed white bone master could have survived the explosion. He thinks that, as a Gensher, he could have survived the explosion. Tan Wonhui admits that the sorcerer could have lost his limbs but survived. He realizes that the situation is more complicated than imagined. Why faces accusations of desecrating sacred ground. He realizes that his actions have provoked anger. Spirit Girl recognizes that the heir, the second son of the 9 dragon family, is following him. He thinks their presence has something to do with his actions. Monster Girl is ready to follow orders. They feel it's important to follow directions now. Ghost Girl sees that even with the surprise attack, the Summit Master killed the dead swordsman with one blow. He marvels at his skill. The guy is happy that Tang Gan is with him. He offers to meet up later and continue the conversation. The assassin wonders where the interlocutor is headed. Spirit Girl orders him to stop as he is not of their kind. The swordsman tells them to use everything to apprehend the master. The master doubts that they will be able to capture him. The demon is angered by Namgung's betrayal. He sees that the explosion has disrupted his demonic magic circle, slowing his recovery. The monster realizes he needs to quickly recover the arrow of demonic magic or destroy it and escape. Wai is surprised that he showed up for him, but now the old man is going to escape. The Lord learns that the interlocutor is a member of the Tang clan. He thinks that the plan seems to have been devised by the head of the family. The heir is surprised that his interlocutor has forgotten their past. He recalls that they had been doing different things, but he had been his teacher for a month. The demon hears the familiar style of speech of the interlocutor. The guy realizes that he didn't recognize him after stealing the mystic arts. The monster finally recognizes who is in front of him. He is shocked to learn that it is the cult's heir, Wai. Tang Wenhui sees the old man activating powers. Raising his hand, he emits energy. The heir is surprised that the interlocutor has grown stronger. He thinks it would be dangerous without destroying the demonic circle. The guy asks what this mystic art activation is. He doubts it's real witchcraft and is ready to destroy it with a look. Tan Wenhui wonders where the old jerk has disappeared to. He sees that he's not hiding well and realizes it's not an illusion. Wai senses that the master of the White Bones is somewhere nearby. He wonders what he's doing there. The heir finds it difficult to call it cowardice or to praise the choice. He sees that of all the escape routes, his interlocutor has chosen the worst. The guy is amazed that the heir to the cult is alive again. He can't believe he's been lucky again. The demon is surprised that Wai is using anti-demon energy. He realizes that it could lead to his defeat. A new figure appears on the battlefield, Kyujin. The monster sees this as the turning point of their battle. Tan Wenhui thinks it's payback for his escape. He thinks it may have something to do with his past. The heir greets his sister. He tells her that he cleansed the cultists with her mother. The boy is surprised to learn that his mother is involved in the affairs of a demonic cult. He realizes that the gensher she knocked out of the sky is connected to the cult. The sister explains that she came after learning of her mother's schemes with the master. He decides to send her back before the old man escapes. Wai sees that he's doing fine on his own. He realizes that Tang Gong is protecting his mother by fighting a crowd of enemies. Tan Wenhui realizes that this was a covert operation. He suggests that his mother is probably worried about what is happening. The girl sees that the situation has reached an impasse and decides to postpone the questions. He advises the interlocutor to flee if it becomes dangerous. The heir thinks he has had time to rest while talking to his sister. He thinks it's important for the next step. The guy asks why the old man isn't getting up. He realizes that a gensher with a demon shouldn't recover so slowly. The monster sees that his interlocutor's cursed mouth is still as ugly as ever. He thinks that nothing has changed. The demon is amazed at how his interlocutor has survived death. He realizes that it is difficult to accept, but immortality and reincarnation are the dream of sorcerers. Wai admits that the battle attire could serve as evidence. He sees that it is a ghost, but it is still significant. The old man wonders how his companion overcame death. He does not believe that he is alive again. Tan Wenhui turns to the old man, saying that he wants to find out something. He considers this point important to get information. The heir faces the old man's curt reply. He foresees that the situation may become heated. Guy sees that the old man is on edge. He tries to hurt Wai in any way he can. Tang Wenhui applies the techniques of Storm Dance and Storm Riot, chopping up everyone the demon sent. The monster wonders what kind of martial arts the heir is using. He tries to figure out and understand what's going on. The old man sees that his opponent is fast. He realizes that he is not at his peak yet, but he is already dangerous. The demon marvels at how the bastard has grown his strength so quickly. The overlord is surprised that the enemy has switched to martial arts. He doesn't believe it's possible. Wai realizes that if his opponent finishes, it will be a failure. The monster tells him to shut up. Tang Wenhui sees that the attack is being repeated. He thinks that even a fool would not duplicate it. The heir thinks the burning of the corpse is too obvious. He suspects it's part of the enemy's plan. The old man believes that spending valuable jianshi in this way is necessary. He sees it as a strategic move. The guy asks the old man where he's going. He thinks this punch could decide the outcome. The demon sees that his mystic art's form is broken and there is no time for powerful techniques. He focuses on rebuilding his body. Why accuses the monster of stealing his scrolls of mystic arts. He says that the scrolls didn't help the overlord, he's helpless anyway. Tan Wenhui confirms that this is true. He sees that the enemy is so weakened that he runs like a coward. The heir admits that the interlocutor could have achieved more by becoming stronger. He considers this important for future steps. The guy learns that the person he's talking to is the heir to a cult. He realizes that this makes him even more dangerous. Tan Wenhui states that even with his provocations, this is the limit of the enemy's capabilities. He believes there is nothing more to see. Why sees that the exile with the demon wheel is strong and tough. He realizes that this is a serious enemy. The old man offers to tell everything he knows and asks the heir to wait. The boy is surprised that the old man already has amnesia and wonders why he should be kept alive. Tan Wenhui suggests that we simplify things and meet after his death. He sees this as a meaningful step. Why admits that he is indeed going to die. The demon can't accept such a demise. The heir suspects that the interlocutor is holding something back. He sees this as an opportunity to uncover the secret. Guy recognizes that the interlocutor is using the art of soul containment. He finds him even more formidable. Tan Wenhui is surprised that his interlocutor is capable of such a thing. He explains to the cult heir that he is skilled in advanced mystical arts. Why recognizes that even for an interlocutor this is too much. He realizes that he is connected to the association and locked in the prison of his soul. The monster declares that he has cast a spell at the cost of his life and even his interlocutor will not get out. He resents being forced to take such a step. The heir sees that the interlocutor himself is to blame for the lack of backup plans after the destruction of the demonic circle. He considers it a miscalculation. Guy offers to watch the old man get angry. The monster thinks they should reconsider before making him angry. The heir sees that the ground beneath his feet has disappeared. He can hardly believe that his former master possesses such a mystical art. Tan Wenhui realizes that mystical art is so perfect that it creates an almost tangible space. He wonders if he will be able to comprehend its structure before he sinks into the abyss. Why explains that he is able to recognize the structure by tracing the flow of mystical energy. It is clear to him that the ocean flow is the gateway that separates him from the outside world. Guy thinks he needs to get to the gate of rest in order to fully examine the structure of the mystic art. He sees that even here there is neither the gate of death nor the gate of life. The heir assumes that the purpose of the spell is to possess his body, not to steal his essence. He concludes that the gate of death in this mystical art means his drowning. The monster marvels as he watches the cult heir seemingly commit suicide. He has no idea what made him decide to commit suicide. Tan Wenhui claims that any death other than drowning will open the life gate of this spell. He asks the demon to confirm his assumptions. The killer finds himself in a difficult situation and expresses his displeasure. He realizes that they will not last long without support. The master observes that his interlocutor is still confident. He wonders how long he intends to stall before the inevitable happens. Ghost Girl claims that he stands out from the rest. She believes that his singularity may be their salvation. Tang Gong asks what they think of his skill. He activates the technique of the Scream of 100 Victories and the Weeping Flower. Hunter can see that even she, the sole swordsman, can barely keep up with the pace. It is obvious to her that the situation is becoming increasingly tense. She realizes that the other dead swordsmen are already at the limit of their strength. Her determination to sacrifice 3 of them to defeat the enemy only grows stronger. Monster Girl commands all dead swordsmen to sacrifice themselves. He sees it as the only way to stop the enemy. The teacher senses the strange behavior of his companions. He wonders what could have happened to them. Tang Gong looks up and notices 3 dead swordsmen ready to rush at him. He is completely bewildered. The master wonders if his interlocutor really expects to attack him at once. He realizes how difficult a task this is. Tang Gong sees that he has just severed the limbs of one of the swordsmen. He doesn't understand how the swordsman got back in front of him. The teacher is surprised by the sudden appearance of the spirit girl. He senses that this makes the situation even more threatening. Tang Gong notices that his sole swordsman arose here when the dead Jianshi blocked his view. He considers this moment crucial to the outcome. The master realizes that even an attempt to evade will require a sacrifice, his hand. He is willing to go to such lengths for the sake of survival. Monster Girl senses that someone other than Tanggong is applying anti-demon energy. He sees this as a new threat to their plans. Spirit Girl figures out that someone from Xinqing, possibly Kyujin, has shown up here. She asks if Master is alright. Tanggong expresses his gratitude to Mrs. Tan Kyujin for her help. He realizes how meaningful her intervention was. Thanks to the sister's support and the soul swordsman's hiccup, manages to strike, and the spirit falls on its back. The girl asks if all the enemies have been successfully destroyed. She learns that each of them has been successfully defeated. Tanggong is curious as to why Lady Kyujin has come here. She replies that other things are more important and wonders if Y needs help. The demon sees the cult's heir as an insane freak. He realizes the grave danger he poses. The heir realizes that his enemies have taken over his body. He is amazed at how easily his interlocutor took such a step. Tenwanhui rips his heart out of his chest to free himself and squeezes it as hard as he can until it explodes. Guy notices that the monster has transformed the space around them. He sees this turn as the key to their confrontation. Y realizes that they are now in the jungle. He sees that there are all kinds of poisonous creatures in the jungle. The heir observes that first there was water and now everything has changed. He marvels at what an opponent with such mystical art can do. Tanwanhui sees that the old man is behaving abominably. He senses that the danger is growing by the second. The guy realizes that they've fallen into a trap. Now he is floating in the sky and thinks that the demon must be somewhere nearby. He strikes into the void and hits the target accurately. The monster wonders how he manages to find it so quickly and accurately anywhere. Now they move between worlds and Y finds the overlord each time. They race across ice, lava, and other dimensions. Tanwanhui notices that they have returned to the starting point. He realizes that this is part of the old man's plan. The demon asks how the heir identifies the weaknesses of the gate of life so easily. He assumes it has to do with his experience. Guy sees that the monster is expending too much energy. He thinks it might be his weakness. Tanwanhui realizes that he has completely figured out the structure of the spell. He wonders how his opponent was able to implement it. Y notes that the mystic arts are more effective when the enemy knows little about them. He sees this as an important strategic aspect. The heir realizes that the spell has been analyzed. He ponders how it will affect their next steps. The lad reveals the secret of the spell, and it ceases to be a prison or a trap for him. The Lord is outraged, for he sacrificed his life for this spell. At the last moment, Monster watches as everything around him collapses and shouts Y's name into the darkness, calling him the cult's heir. Tanwanhui realizes that the spell has been broken. He ponders how this will affect their future plans. The heir reveals the secret of the spell, and it loses its power over him. The demon is outraged because he gave his life for it. At the last moment, the old man sees everything collapsing around him and screams Guy's name into the void, calling him the heir to the cult. Tanwanhui says that thanks to the monster, he has mastered a curious spell. The Lord marvels at how he managed to do it. Y asks why the demon won't stay with him even after death. The old man replies that if the heir tells him about reincarnation, he will reveal everything he knows. The guy notices that the monster doesn't quite realize what's going on. He declares that he is no longer in a bargaining position. Tanwanhui says that he died many years ago at the top of the sealed heavens. He wonders what happened in Tian Shan after that. The heir demands that demon lay out every last detail. He realizes how essential it is to their plans. Y learns that since the old man's death, the celestial cult has been plagued by infighting. He sees this as the reason for their weakening. The monster reports that 5 of the 9 demonic mythologies have united and rebelled. He realizes the threat this poses. Guy discovers that demons have attacked the main palace of the Demon of Honor. He believes it was part of their strategy. The Lord tells him that the demons sought to capture his mentor. He ponders what would have happened if they had succeeded. The demon says that capturing his mentor didn't work. He realizes that this moment was the turning point in their confrontation. Tanwanhui asks what happened to his mentor. The monster is amazed at his eyes, for they are not the eyes of ordinary people. The old man encounters the Ghost King. He feels an uncontrollable terror as he realizes how dangerous he is. The Overlord realizes that an encounter with the Ghost King must be prevented. He sees it as his only chance of survival. Y notices something unknown approaching. He prepares for a possible attack, sensing a growing threat. The demon sees that something is wrong with the cult's heir. He realizes that the tension in the air is growing stronger. A monster approaches the cult's heir asking for help. He promises to reveal everything he knows to make things right, but he is captured. Tanwanhui ponders whether the White Bone Master could have been absorbed. He thinks it might shed some light on the mystery. The monster advises the cult heir to stay away. He realizes that the creature guarding the secrets has great power. The heir notices that he is being attacked. He is ready to take decisive steps, seeing this as an important moment for their actions. Guy sees the creature appear out of nowhere to devour the soul of the White Bone Master. He remembers that he had heard of such a thing before. Tang Wenhui learns that the anomaly hiding the secrets has incredible magical power. He believes it should be treated with caution. Wei realizes that the creature has taken the soul associated with the Ghost Crown's power. He regrets the loss of a valuable source of information. The heir notices that the story is not over. He sees the traces of the Master of the White Bones still remain. Guy decides to use the White Bone Master's knowledge, however scrappy. He thinks it might solve the mystery. Tan Wenhui feels a lot of pressure even through his memories. He realizes how great the influence of the White Bone Master was. Wei realizes that this creature is connected to the association. He ponders what this might mean for their future steps. The heir encounters the invertent. He notices his strange behavior and feels an underlying threat. The boy realizes that he has before him the memory of the Master of the White Bones. He realizes that he will not see what the Master himself has not seen. Tan Wenhui notices that one detail is firmly fixed in the White Bone Master's mind. He sees this as a possible clue. Wei discerns eyes with inverted yin and yang. He realizes that this is all that can be extracted from the remnants of the Master's memory. The heir notices that the White Bone Master's abilities are superior to the Ghost King's chains. He considers this important to their plans. The guy decides there's nothing more to find here. He realizes it's time to call it a day. Tang Wenhui sees a red liquid, familiar to him from the past, spreading over his hands. Wei is confronted with a desire that has burst out of the rift. He has a premonition that it could turn dangerous. The heir notices that the Lord of Desire can detect his presence. He realizes what a serious threat this poses. The guy realizes that the situation is getting more and more risky. He decides that he needs to get out of here as soon as possible. The monster asks the cult heir if he is all right. He sees that he is covered in cold sweat from the exertion. Tan Wenhui assures him that all is well, but notices that he almost fell into a trap. The monster wonders how the cult heir defeated their enemy. He's amazed at how he managed to cover his tracks. Wei declares that he will hunt down all of their opponents. He sees this as the only way to complete victory. The heir asks the association to bide its time. He realizes that he must proceed with caution. Father realizes that he should be worried about Guy. He considers it important for their future actions. A henchman of the Nine Dragon clan asks why Haosan can't concentrate on business. He sees a connection to Wei's actions. The masked man notices that Tang Wenhui may return with the head of the White Bone Master. He finds this to be a very intriguing development. The counselor assumes that the heir is capable of great things. He ponders why he thinks so. The henchman learns that Wei has changed and made significant progress. He realizes how this has affected their plans. The masked man sees that the actions of the White Bone Master and his wife have made it possible to monitor the secret movements of the demonic cult and the Namgung family. He sees this as important to their strategy. The counselor asks where the head of the clan is now. He sees this as a possible clue. Tang Haosan ponders how the clan head is connected to everything that is going on. He sees it as significant to their plans. The henchman learns that the clan is creating a special weapon commissioned by a certain comrade. He realizes that this has attracted the attention of Liu Ban and the clan leader. The masked man realizes that their plans must remain flexible. He wonders whether to initiate Wei into their full plan. Father notices that Tan Wenhui often exceeds expectations with his results. He is inclined not to tell him the whole truth. Kei-san recalls the master's words that if left as it is, the situation will resolve itself. He sees this as a possible correct solution. The counselor remarks that the heir is obligated to deal with the master of the White Bones. He considers it an important step in their plan. The henchman swears to Tanu Kei-san that he will correct their entire plan and falls to his knees before him. Tang Gong is surprised that he has been away for so long. They stand together with sister, waiting for news. Tan Wenhui notices that the teacher trusts his student. Tang Kyujin asks if Wei was hurt in the battle. The master is confronted with a white bone head. He wonders why it has been brought in and assumes it is part of someone's plot. The teacher sees that Wei has defeated the demonic cult. He is amazed that he has gained strength so quickly. The girl realizes that Guy's success in martial arts is impressive. She wonders how he managed to get his mother involved. Tan Kyujin asks if the heir has a spectral footprint. She sees this as an important point for their actions. Monster notices that Wei's talent is incredibly great. She realizes what he is capable of in his endeavors. The monster is amazed at how a human can be so much like him. He finds it a strange and unusual phenomenon. The monster sees that Tang Wenhui does not back down in the face of hardship. She realizes that he is willing to do anything for a cause. Sister realizes that the demonic cult has resumed its activities. He foresees that Guy may become famous as their destroyer. Hyujin ponders what her mother will do. She sees that the situation is getting more complicated every day. The heir notices that the master of the White Bones may have harbored secret records and treasure. He considers this a possible clue. Y suggests that this is probably the secret vault of the White Bone Master. He sees this as a chance for success. Tang Gong realizes that the records and treasures are carefully arranged. He notices a resemblance to a demonic cult ball. The guy sees that deciphering these recordings on the spot will not be easy. He considers this moment important to their plans. Tang Wenhui notices that they have found a room with the White Bone Master's records. He sees this as a path to victory. The heir discovers a box of secret records signed by Namgung. He realizes the value of this find. He tells us to bring men to carry the finds. He considers it necessary for their future endeavors. Tan Wenhui decides to check the information he has received himself. He realizes that no one else can be trusted with this. Guy notices that it will be more difficult to defeat the Black Ghosts than the White Bone Masters. He foresees difficulties ahead. Tang Kyujin realizes that even if the heir goes with his mother, she will use it for her own purposes. She sees it as a hidden threat. Tan Wenhui decides to leave footprints everywhere he goes. He asks for reinforcements to be sent when they are done here. We notices his team's excessive anxiety. He decides to act alone, relying on himself. Monster sees that the heir to the cult has a great deal of trust. He notices the genuine concern in their attitude toward Guy. The heir realizes that an alliance with the same faction could tie their fates together. He sees them as truly worthy people. The heir realizes that Tan Wenhui's identity is no more important to him than his body. He realizes that he has found those he wants to protect. Y notices that he is, after all, the cult's heir, Yun Wenhui. He considers this moment significant to their plans. Guy sees a crowd of people gathered in Daoqing. He attributes it to the appearance of the Dark Lord. Then Wenhui tells us to split up and search for survivors from Mythos and pursuers from the Black Valley. He recognizes the value of every trace. The heir asks if there are seats on the top floor. He learns that there is only one table left. Y notices that the demonic fields hide their aura easily. He sees that the remnants of the demonic door are still there. Guy discovers a hidden observer. He realizes the killer is lurking somewhere nearby. The monster overhears the conversation and informs the heir that the humans are aware of the chase, but the tracks are skillfully covered and the pursuers cannot find them. Monster assumes that one of them is a demonic man from the Nine Dragons. He sees a connection to Mythos. Tan Wenhui remarks that this is most likely the North Sea Demon Blade Mythos. He considers this point important to the investigation. Y learns that the treasure of the North Sea Mythos contains a vast store of Yin energy. He sees the significance of this for their actions. The heir notices that the Blackbone Ghost Valley has sworn an oath to the Blade Demon Mythos of the North Sea. He considers them his loyal dogs. Guy wonders how strong the man from Mythos of the North Sea is. He realizes that a hidden aura prevents him from appreciating his power. Tang Wenhui sees that the perfect aura concealer has reached the pinnacle of skill. He tells them to find the location of their followers. Y realizes that the place is too crowded today. He notices 3 young men in decent clothes and thinks they are from noble families. The heir sees that the 2 girls emit a powerful aura. He admits that they could become as famous as his sister. A guy hears about the Golden Sword sect, founded many years ago. He realizes that their power and wealth are the result of trade with the West. Tan Wenhui notices that Woogie has failed to impress the girls. He attributes this to the lack of available seats. Sir Woogie recognizes that Y of the 9 Dragon family is in front of him. He realizes that this complicates the situation. The heir notices that Tan Wenhui had no friends. He thinks that normally he would have just chased him away. But there's no time now. Guy decides to leave as soon as the spirits report the location of the followers. He considers it important to their plans. The kid sees that there are vacant seats. He invites Miss Sima and Miss Yu to join them. Sir Woogie apologizes and remarks that the flavor of tea here is delicious. The monster reports that they have tracked down the followers. Tan Wenhui asks how the monster is doing. He realizes there are 3 of them and finally finds the pursuers. Monster notices that their aura and weapons point to the Lion sect. He senses that this could be dangerous. Y sees that the Lion sect is famous for being harsh and aggressive. He attributes this to the House of Hunha. The heir learns that the Emperor of the Blade of Clear Sky is one of the 10 greatest masters. He sees his daughter as an important figure. Guy hears that the Blade Emperor ended the fight with 10 blows. He realizes that revenge through his daughter is their goal. Tanwanui notices a member of the lion sect challenging Ms. Sima to a fight. He knows that their fights are always bloody. The girl wonders how one can defy for no reason. She has a premonition that it is fraught with danger. Wai learns that Ms. Yu Summing is the Lady of the Pure Moon and the other is the Master of the Serpent sect. He sees the conflict with the lion sect as a serious threat. The heir notices that Ms. Sima will not win alone. He accepts the challenge, realizing the possible risk. The sister asks to take her time and not to worry. She believes that evading such trials is unworthy of her origin. The jock decides to find a place suitable for the battle. He realizes that the courtyard of the tea house is too small for a battle. Guy tells the followers to split up and keep an eye on the spirits. He sees this as an important step for their actions. Swordsman says the guests of the establishment should watch the fight. He considers this moment meaningful for everyone. The warrior realizes that Miss Sima is accompanied by allies. He sees this as a chance for success. The man puts his sword to Wai's neck and tells him to sit down. The heir grabs him by the head and throws him away. He shines a purple aura and orders them out of the way, leaving everyone, including the girls and the chairman, stunned. The guy looks up and asks with a crazy smile why that man didn't heed his words. Tanwanui remarks that he already said it was okay. Wai lifts his head and asks with a mad smile why that man didn't heed his words. Baldy is amazed at how anyone dares touch the heir in a rage. He has a premonition that this could end badly. Baldy and his allies lunge at Guy, and he stands motionless and asks in anger if he dares, clenches his fist and fights back powerfully. He has no intention of submitting or humiliating himself in front of them. Baldy starts a speech about going against the lion sect, but at the same instant, the heir breaks his blade. He fends off attacks from all sides. One of the attackers swings his sword with a battle cry and strikes down. The guy shatters the sword and through the shards hits him right in the face. The attacker is stunned by Wai's incredible strength. The jock watches as the heir wipes out his elite squad one by one, ruling the entire province. The swordsman sees that his interlocutor can easily handle two enemies. He senses that this could be dangerous. The warrior decides to intervene even though he didn't originally intend to. He wants to show why he is called Lion Blade. Tanwanui notices that he usually just disarms his opponents. He realizes that this will not be easy now. The chairman believes that his blade can reach the enemy at least once. He sees it as a chance to win. The jock notices that his opponent is just running away. He sees this as his weakness. Wai decides he's had enough. He intends to end this battle right now. The heir asks what the enemy will do once trapped. He sees this as the end of their fight. The swordsman can't believe his eyes. He sees this moment as crucial to the outcome. His sister notices that his opponent is a famous newcomer from Tuho. She sees this as an important twist. The warrior is amazed at the audacity of the enemy. He senses that this could be dangerous. The chairman notices that the enemies love the word dare. He sees it as their vulnerability. The guy hears them calling him a monster. He sees it as a path to their defeat. Thane Wanhui tells him to send messages to those he has destroyed. He decides that's enough for today. Wai warns that a second meeting will end badly for them. He considers it important to their plans. The heir declares that failure to fulfill his request will show them true hell is his promise. The girl realizes that the tea party is inappropriate now. They see this as a turning point for action. His sister notices that his name is Wai. The day ends with a beautiful orange sunset. The man finally defeats his enemy. He is sure that the rest of the scumbags will get what they deserve. The monster sees his opponent sobbing, begging for mercy. He thinks this is the end of their battle. Al wonders why no one is answering. He wonders what is going on and what he should do. The monster doesn't believe there is no response at all. He believes that even if there is no action, there must be some response. Guy notices his opponent's fear because of his comrade's silence. He sees it as their weakness and a chance to win. The monster is amazed to realize that his rival has somehow unraveled the secret of the connection with the spirits. This discovery seems to him decisive for their future steps. Tang Wanhui watches with a slight chuckle as his opponent slowly moves his brain. The slowness of his pace betrays his vulnerability. The monster is at a loss to know how miraculously this guy managed to kill all his comrades. Wai, meanwhile, proudly shows off his new mask. The monster looks anxiously at the figure of his enemy and suddenly realizes that he is facing a ghost with purple eyes. The danger of this creature inspires him with real fear. The heir, thinking intensely, comes to the conclusion that his opponent is extremely serious, especially when it comes to a member of the demon god mythos. The danger of the situation begins to alarm him. Guy rushes forward with determination, knocking the monster to the ground with a single tug, and loudly declares that it is not his people who are to be hunted, but others. Tang Wenhui coldly assesses his opponent and decides that he has mistaken his target. Traitors, not him, are worthy of pursuit. With these thoughts, he grabs him by the throat and glares at him. The blond man standing on the rooftop looks out over the sprawling city. When he turned around, he was relieved to see that the long-awaited guests had finally arrived. The black-haired man asks his companion with slight impatience if he has finished the job. The people around him respectfully call him young master. The white-haired man calmly replies that the job will take a little longer. They need to cover their tracks so that no witnesses will give away their presence. The brunette, deep in thought, suddenly realizes that his actions are full of cowardice. This thought gnaws at him, suggesting a weakness that cannot be ignored. The black-haired man nostalgically recalled the old days when he fought for the inheritance as one of the 10 mighty pillars of the demonic mythos. The man looks at the skinny stranger in bewilderment and grumbles about what the hell he's doing here. He clutches the heavy chains tightly in his hands, ready for any eventuality. The brunette is surprised to note that his opponent, who is not a martial artist, is doing something incredible. This strangeness gives him a sense of impending danger. The black-haired man scrutinizes the enemy and suddenly recognizes him as the second heir of the demon mythos of the North Sea. This discovery may open the way to their triumph. The brunette bitterly realizes that a single defeat has robbed him of everything. Now he sees it as a lesson he must not lose sight of in the future. The black-haired man vows with fury to destroy every one of the enemy's followers. His face contorts into an evil grin that promises retribution. They stare intensely into space and pick up a faint trace of the energy of the sorcery of Mythos, the venerable demon god. A spellcaster is likely lurking among them. The black-haired man dismisses the enemy with disdain, seeing him as nothing. The dead swordsman of the Ghost Valley of Black Bone, he is sure, will be no obstacle to him. The brunette confidently tasks his ally to sort out the chaos. Deep down, he feels that such a step will bring them closer to their cherished goal. The black-haired man is disgusted to feel the energy of his opponent's energy, and he feels that it reminds him too much of Yonghui's power. The black-haired man is disgusted by the familiarity of his opponent's energy. The heir raises his eyebrows in amazement, unable to believe that the enemy dared to touch his follower. The thought of the threat of this insolence keeps him on his toes. The guy squints at his opponent and comes to the conclusion that he doesn't know a thing. The enemy's ignorance will play to his advantage. Then Wenhui listens with a cold smile as his opponent questions the reason for the punishment. Heaven's punishment, he is sure, has already come upon all those who have betrayed the cult. Wei reassures his enemy with a soft sneer, promising that his comrades will soon follow. This reassurance seems important to him for their next steps. With icy calmness, the heir orders all enemies to disappear from the face of the earth. In this decision, he sees an opportunity to turn the tide in his favor. The white-haired boy steps forward, not taking his eyes off the boy, and realizes with delight that the purple-clad man is the true heir to the cult. Wei abruptly grabs his arm and asks him defiantly what else he could be if not the cult's heir. The question hangs in the air. The boy is delighted to discover that his ally is unharmed. This news gives him hope for the success of their common cause. Tang Wenhui is pleased to note that his ally has accomplished the task brilliantly. This outcome may influence their future strategy. The heir listens with a smile as his ally continues the conversation. This conversation has the potential to bring them closer to victory. The boy looks around curiously, noticing a strange figure approaching. Whoever it is, it might change their plans. The white-haired man stares at the stranger in amazement and wonders how someone of this caliber ended up here. This discovery seems to him a chance for success. Wei watches with mild annoyance at his opponent, who is far more resilient than he had anticipated. The corpse of the North Sea, he grinned, still on its feet. Tang Wenhui mockingly inquires how dead Min Che is doing. The answer to that question might suggest their next move. The white-haired man scrutinizes his enemy's robes, feeling that he has seen them before. A man who had treated the young lord the same way came to mind. The heir declares to himself with firm conviction that he is the one the enemy is thinking of. This thought seems important to him for the events to come. Guy anxiously feels the iron energy emanating from his opponent. He whispers to the heir to stay alert. Upon reflection, comes to the conclusion that he is facing the protector of the second heir of the North Sea demon mythos. The strength of this warrior is truly astonishing to him. Wei notes with interest that the spirit of the lion, which usually disappears after 10 years, still keeps his opponent alive. This observation seems significant to him for future actions. The white-haired man is relieved to see that his enemy barely survived the fight. This turn could be their winning card. The blonde assesses his opponent with disdain, believing that he is no match for him. This weakness will play to their advantage. The man clenches his fists with determination, realizing that such a chance cannot be missed. An enemy's mistake, he notes, opens up new opportunities for him. The heir sadly remembers how hard his life has been, full of trials. All this, he realizes, is his destiny, which he accepts. The guy proudly declares that he has never known defeat in his entire life. He challenges his opponent to hold out for at least 3 seconds under his blows. The white-haired man listens with irritation as his opponent chats away. The chatter might give clues to their next moves. Then Manhwa shouts at them with rage, demanding an answer. Why have they not learned their lesson in so long? His anger burns like a torch. The white-haired man stares in surprise at the enemy formation, recognizing it as a comedian style. How they had time to prepare it, he wondered, amazed at their speed. The blonde man watches with a slight sneer at the fog that's closing in on Kian. It's a black ghost mist spell, but it's too weak to stop it. Wai strains to look into the spell and realizes that this black ghostly mist is unusual. This power could affect their future actions. The blonde man proudly explains that he created the spell specifically for his enemies. However, he adds activation requires a huge expenditure of energy, which worries him. The white-haired man feels frustrated that his power on the fantasy network is not yet enough. He ponders whether to find another way to use it. The heir notes with tension that such quick moves eat up a lot of energy. This fact may become important to their strategy going forward. The guy confidently tells how he applied black ghostly mist to conserve his strength. The fantasy network, he adds, is the perfect complement to this trick. The blonde is surprised to see that the enemy has mastered complex techniques. But he has so little energy left that his blow will be weak. The white-haired man anxiously notices Kothdar's core in the ghostly mist of the enemy. Trying to regain his strength will only make the fool's situation worse. Tang Manhwa watches his opponent with a cold chuckle, who soon realizes you can't breathe and circulating energy won't get the poison out. This backs him into a corner. Wai notes with satisfaction that his ghost poison is unique. Mere circulation of energy, he is sure, will not stop its deadly effects. The heir senses with interest that the enemy's body is perfect for his poison. He calls loudly for him to come out of the shadows and show himself. The guy hears his opponent call him a coward with derision. These words can give clues to their next steps. The blonde man with grim determination is thinking of taking his enemy with him to the other world just to avoid succumbing to his tricks. It seems like a winning choice. Tang Manhwa anxiously realized that the formation was about to collapse. Too hasty an activation had failed him this time. Wai tenses up at the feeling that the heavy lifting is unstoppable. The enemy has done his part of the task perfectly. The heir deftly shortens the distance as the sorcery dissipates. Too close for the enemy to cast another spell. Guy is surprised to see a change in his enemy and feels that this turn could tip the scales in their favor. The man realizes with satisfaction that his opponent's martial arts have turned to nothing. This collapse opens new avenues for their plans. The blonde sees with admiration that the enemy has reached the pinnacle of skill. This peak may influence their next moves. Tang Manhwa forcefully infuses his energy through the evil ghost's battle garb and mist. The purple fantasy net drains the enemy and the poison completes the job. Wai watches in amazement as his opponent, staggering, still strikes. His soul, full of hatred, does not give up, which alarms Wai. The heir watches with interest as the enemy hones their skills right into the battle. This progress could be their trump card. Guy enthusiastically sees martial arts as a way to express himself. He looks for the enemy's weaknesses in every movement and breath. Tang Manhwa realizes with deep thought that the vessel is a source of power. It is useless to copy others, he decides to create his own. Wai admiringly looks at the ice soul blade technique in front of her. Her power might come in handy in the future. The heir sees with anticipation how the ice soul blade technique will freeze the enemy to death. This outcome seems like a win-win to him. Guy scrutinizes every swing of his enemy's sword, their breathing, and footsteps. These details, he is sure, will clue them in on their next move. Tang Manhwa is surprised to feel his opponent synchronize his soul with his actions. This unity is important to their plans. Wai unleashes 12 strikes of fierce tiger power with fury. This power could turn the tide of their battle. The heir sees with tension as the enemy adjusts his technique to match his blade. This rhythm cannot be underestimated from here on out. The boy is puzzled as to why the enemy keeps taunting him. These taunts may pave the way to victory. Tang Manhwa thinks with a slight sneer that the enemy might recognize his genius. This recognition, he is sure, will come in handy in the future. The man bitterly realizes that defeat here will brand him with shame. Avoiding that is their main goal. The blonde man longingly imagines not being able to look into the eyes of the young master after losing. This fear drives him to new actions. The man feels with a heavy weight on his heart that defeat will be his. Meeting the Lord afterward seems unbearable to him. Why watches with interest as the enemy summons the divine lady of the ice soul. This power could change their plans. The blonde laughingly notes that the enemy has left him a loophole to escape. This miscalculation will bring them closer to triumph. The heir anxiously senses the icy venom in the enemy's actions. His power cannot be underestimated going forward. Guy strains to see how the enemy is stubbornly not giving up. If this continues, his streams will soon freeze. Tang Wenhui watches with a grim smile as the enemy uses the ice poison that corrodes the heart. This death could be their trump card. Wai is surprised to notice 3 ghostly black-bone swordsmen in the hands of the enemy. Their presence is a threat. The heir sees with mocking laughter the futility of the enemy's resistance. His deafness to warnings only hastens the end. The boy is alarmed to realize that the icy poison eating away at his heart has no antidote. This danger requires caution. Tang Wenhui admiringly evaluates the ice poison that devours the heart as a magnificent weapon. This power will play to their advantage. Wai tensely feels the yin energy and poison threatening him. This mixture is important for their future steps. The man watches in amazement as the enemy turns the ice poison into his energy. This trick could give them an advantage. The blonde man watches in amazement as the enemy switches from ice soul blade to ice poison. This turn cannot be overlooked. The heir realizes with irritation that the enemy has been taunting him all this time. These taunts will lead to their success. The guy looks sadly at the enemy whose death was meaningless to his level. This finale is important to their plans. Tang Wenhui learns with interest that the enemy has acquired a battle title. This title could be their winning card. The boy is delighted to see the sight with his own eyes. This experience will help them in the future. The boy anxiously senses the energy of the ghostly valley of the Black Bone. New enemies are on the horizon. Wai is relieved to see a bird ally return to their side. This turn will strengthen their position. The heir is pleased to learn that an ally has burned all of the enemy's farms. This blow is important to their strategy. The black-haired man tensely senses the sinister energy of their Jianshi. This darkness demands attention. The brunette sees with a slight sneer that the enemy has not managed to escape their gaze. His slip will make it easier. The black-haired man is surprised to recognize the ice energy of the North Sea Blade demon mythos as ice poison. This discovery is valuable. The brunette wonders with bewilderment why the enemy's soul is here, contrary to the tracks. This strangeness holds a mystery. The black-haired man proudly recalls walking here on orders from the leader of Mythos to destroy the bird that had brought down their farms. The brunette curiously suggests that the amazing bird is connected to the survivors of Mythos, the honorable god. That connection is important. The black-haired man is delighted to recognize his opponent as a dragon of the 9 Dragon family. The brunette recalls with interest that the 9 Dragon clan is a branch of the Tang clan. This history will come in handy in the future. The black-haired man is dismayed to hear a woman demand that the second heir be killed. This order changes everything. The brunette watches with tension as the white bone master digs into the problem. His efforts might reveal something. The black-haired man is surprised to remember that this monster wasn't considered human a couple months ago. This growth is important. The brunette recognizes with satisfaction the name of the enemy, Wai. This fact could be their trump card in the game. The 3 sects of Kunlun greet the heir with reverence. Their support will strengthen their position ahead. The boy gratefully praises his followers for their resilience. But what has happened to the cult leader, he wonders aloud. Tang Wenhui anxiously inquires about the fate of the cult leader. The answer could turn their path to victory. Wai is relieved to see that the head is with them, but the teacher has disappeared. This twist calls for new plans. The heir is saddened to learn that the teacher and the guards have left the chambers. Their absence changes the situation. Guy watches with tension as Mythos men prowl for the chapter, hiding from the association. This chaos is their chance. Tang Wenhui recalls with amazement how years later they found the chapter's mark in that courtyard. Wai is proud to see that his followers have not abandoned him in troubled times. Their loyalty is the key to success. The heir realizes with annoyance that the minions haven't figured out where the head is. Their blindness complicates things. The guy sadly admits that he hasn't returned to his former strength even after years. This decline must be taken into account. Tang Wenhui anxiously thinks that the teacher would have taken these people away if he had been okay. Their fate is a mystery. Wai respectfully turns to the blonde teacher, asking what to do next. His advice is needed now. The heir listens with interest as the henchman waits for his order. This moment could decide everything. The guy is surprised to realize that months have passed for him and years have passed for them. This gap is important. Tang Wenhui sees with determination how the demons must fall before them. Their submission is their strength. Why tensely senses that the enemy is ready to envelope Simuan in divine flames. This step is significant. The heir excitedly insists that they need to climb the Tianshan peaks and listen to the enemies. This path is important. The boy proudly sees them preparing the throne for the head. This gesture will bring them closer to their goal. Tang Wenhui is surprised to hear his enemy's prayers for his leadership. These words could affect the future. Why is dismayed to learn that one of the blade captains is a vampire spirit. The head of the sect is alive, and that's important. The henchman vows to stay with the heir with determination. His loyalty is their trump card. Guy listens curiously as Monster asks about the extent of the disaster. The answer will tell the way. Tang Wenhui painfully felt his insides hurt. This damage could be their advantage. We feels with alarm the gap between spirit and body. This gap requires attention from now on. The heir sees in reverence the worship of the Exalted One. This symbol is their strength. Guy is annoyed to see that the henchman didn't understand Wai's feelings. This misunderstanding is important to consider. Tang Wenhui realizes with fatigue that recovery will take a month. This rest is necessary for the plans. We admonishes the minion to connect the worldview with the body. This step is important going forward. The heir hopefully sees the henchman treating his wounds. This effort will sustain their journey. The guy is excited to feel the henchmen want to give him power. That help is their trump card. Tang Wenhui watches with interest as the minion separates the energies. This process promises success. Wai listens curiously as the minion asks about cleansing energies. The question is important for business. The heir anxiously feels the suffering of the old man's energy. This pain can open the path to victory. Guy admiringly sees a new method of cultivation through the meridian from a minion. This breakthrough is important. Tang Wenhui watches in amazement as the minion directs energy through the meridian with thought. This is the goal of their journey, he thought. Wai proudly sees the method where the energy flows through the meridian. This flow is their key to triumph. The heir is excitedly shaping the lower meridian with demon techniques. This power will make him great. Guy tensely learns about the astral level divergence against the minion. Their power is significant. Wenhui is frustrated to see the weakness of the demon's techniques against the enemy. A new method will unite their forces. Wai chooses to choose the path with confidence, flowing like a river with true energy. This choice is their trump card. The heir is proud to utilize the Black Dragon's power of the river and sword. This power is important to the plans. The Lord is pleased to see his allies ready to march. He thanks them and Fury Wind for their help. A gentleman with determination acts at dawn. This early hour is important to their affairs. Guy is mildly surprised to catch his opponent wondering what brought him to the enemies of the subsidiary branch of the Tang clan. This mystery may well be their winning card in the struggle for victory. Tang Wenhui listens intently as his sister asks him why he returned from his mission so soon. Her question seems to him to be a hint of something important for their future endeavors. Tang Qujin notes with slight dismay that her brother has returned too quickly, leaving the goal unattained. This failure, she ponders, could prove crucial to their success. Tang Qujin is pleased to see that her brother has accomplished the mission after all. This success, she thinks, could influence their future strategy. Wai tears his soul to pieces with grim determination, and then, gathering his will into a fist, rebuilds it with his own strength. This feat, he is sure, will pave the way to their triumph. The heir realizes with cold clarity that his adversary has amassed ample knowledge of the North Sea mythos. This knowledge could play an important role in their upcoming plans. Guy curiously picks up on rumors that Tang Gong is aware of his troubles. This awareness can suggest their next move. Tang Wenhui listens with slight irritation to his interlocutor as he wonders what they should do next. The Lion Blade King, he suspects, will soon demand an answer from him. Wai tensely senses the presence of the Lion Blade King appearing for retribution. This visit could be a turning point for their actions going forward. The heir watches with a mocking smile as his opponent expects praise, but instead receives only accusations. This contrast can turn the game in their favor. Tang Haosan proudly looks at the North Sea mythos demon head that Wai brought him. This trophy, he ponders, may influence their future moves. Tang Haosan is mildly surprised to hear someone ask if there is anything else to report. All the details are already clear and it puts his mind at ease. The guy asks with hope in his voice if he has enough merit to get in. This question, he is sure, could open the way for them to win. Tang Wenhui thoughtfully weighs whether to follow Tang Haosan. This dilemma holds significance for their future plans. Y is thrilled to realize that what is happening has exceeded his expectations. This surprise may well be their trump card in the struggle for success. The heir peers into the ground with interest, sensing the vast space beneath. This mystery has the power to guide their actions. Guy notes with slight excitement that the West is teeming with small sects and gangs. This chaos could give them an edge in the game. Tang Wanhui recalls with grim certainty the heavenly demon cult lodged on the Tian Shan Ridge. Its presence, he thought, was important to their strategy. Y realizes with sudden clarity the intent of the Tang clan. This insight, he believes, could be their greatest weapon in achieving their goal. The heir is excited to imagine how the center of the rising wind will take the world by storm. This possibility is significant for their future steps. The boy is thrilled to realize that the card he has found changes the entire layout. Its existence could lead them to triumph. The counselor notes with admiration how intelligence, courage, and cunning have paved the way. These qualities will sustain them in the things to come. Tang Wanhui grasps with a slight sneer that his opponent sees him as the perfect enigma. That reputation could play into their hands. Y is surprised to notice how his master, Tang Gong, is stunned by his words. This reaction is important to their future plans. Tang Gong respectfully sees the young master as a true warrior. Martial skills, he thinks, are not the most important thing for the Tang clan. Tang Gong with deep thought appreciates martial arts and strategy as tools of purpose. His talent, he believes, cannot be underestimated. The heir tensely hears Tang Haosan demanding that they stop arguing. This order could affect their next move. Tang Kaosan states with firmness that the kid will choose his own path. The place Cain Tan has created for unity inspires him to take further action. Y is thrilled to learn that the Tang clan will raise a castle overlooking the world from the top. This dream can lead them to success. Tang Haosan sees with determination that the castle must resist the fanatics of the demonic cult. Its durability is important to their plans. Tang Haosan is angered to learn of his enemy's plots to kill the patriarch. This audacity demands a response in their future moves. The boy listens with interest to the mentors discussing a plan of action. The body will be their key to the fulfillment of their plan. Tang Wanhui sees with cold clarity how the enemy wants to use the assassination attempt to hit the demonic cult. This plan, he is sure, can give them victory. Y notes with satisfaction that the enemy is impressed with his intelligence and decision-making skills. This delight will come in handy in the future. The heir with a slight sneer anticipates the collapse of the enemy's plan due to a variable unknown to them. This mistake will be their path to triumph.